Jordan Love playing better, somewhat just treading water and floating like a turd on top of the bowl right now. What was the bigger story of the weekend? Give me your thoughts. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. This is from Eric. Eric says the biggest story has to be that Jordan Love didn't look putrid. He at least looked like he was a serviceable draft choice. Not that he was a number one, but serviceable. That's from Eric. I think Jordan Love, you look at Jordan Love's numbers, and while they're not, eye-popping and jumping off the chart by any stretch of the imagination, just watching him play, and first of all, let me say this. It was great to be back at Lambeau Field in the press box. And I had done a little walkthrough on my way into the press box on the mezzanine, up top on the mezzanine, and which was great. It was well received, and thanks to everybody that watched it. But people were asking, why weren't we there all the time? They limited the amount of, first of all, contact that was actually going to be with the players, and the locker rooms weren't completely open, and the vaccinations and the COVID, and how many people were actually going to be around. And it was, we had Mike Clemens on the ground everywhere the Packers went, he went. So nobody else really needed to be there, but there is something specifically said to being there. And to watch Jordan Love up close and personal, 12 of 24, 113 yards, a touchdown. No picks, by the way. No picks, by the way. Had a 21-yard pass a little bit later on in the game to Juwan Winfrey, which was nice. Like I said, the 17-yard pass to Dubs. He put that pass to Dubs was dropped in a basket. That was a really good pass because Dubs had triple coverage. He had a safety coming. He had a safety over the top, and he had a corner underneath. And Jordan Love put it right there for the 17-yard reception. That was, to me, that might have been his most impressive play. The rollout in which he threw to Torrey, and Torrey, it hit off his fingertips. And they're probably going to tell Torrey when you go to study the film, son, you got to bring that in. That was a hell of a play. You got to bring that in. So that throw to Torrey, I thought was pretty solid, but not so much just the throw, but the fact that it was play action and he started out going to his right, rolled to his left. I mean, faked everybody out. You could just see the entire front line of the offense and the defense doing what they were supposed to do. Defensively, they were completely faked out. The defensive backs completely faked out, except for the back trailing the play, covering Torrey, and he just ran out of room. Torrey was coming up, butting up against the sidelines. The throw was just a little off, but it was a really quality play. So there were glimpses. There were some things there that I thought, okay, this is stuff that you can build upon. This is stuff that will be better, that you can say, okay, I understand now maybe some of the things that they have seen in him, but it's taken so long to get the consistency of glimpses. I'm not saying it's great. I'm not here to all of a sudden jump to the other side and, by the way, I'm on the Jordan Love bandwagon. That's not it. I was never off of the Jordan Love bandwagon. What I said was I never thought he was this high-end first-round draft pick worthy quarterback. If they would have chosen him in the fourth or fifth round, I'd be saying, hey, look, he's starting to show you some glimpses. Who knows? Maybe he's got the making of a quarterback. But with the weight of being a first-round draft choice comes the expectation of being able to play in the National Football League almost immediately. And up until this point, he hasn't been. That's my point, and that's my argument. So I think Jordan Love played better. I don't think he played great, but at least he gave you a little bit to kind of glimpse at. You know what I'm saying? Rick says, I keep waiting for Wyatt to show me something. They're not getting a ton of snaps. Not to say that, they have to, but not getting a ton of snaps. They're with those starters, man, because they're expected to be eventually starters or heavy depth rotation guys, not getting a ton of snaps. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Wyatt in on what I remember, just a couple of tackles. Nothing huge, no big blow-up plays or anything like that. Like I said, I was impressed with McDuffie. I thought he played really solid, played himself onto the team. I'm waiting to see what happens with Abernathy. They've been searching for good safeties. Vernon Scott ends up with the shoulder injury. You had Ennis Gaines, Carpenter, Abernathy, Levitt, all those guys. Levitt probably on the outside end, but You've got Abernathy, who really kind of showed you something. So I'm just waiting to kind of see what they're going to do this week in practice, and they've got one more game coming up on Thursday night to really kind of prove themselves. 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up. I mean, Wyatt, by the way, only got in on, 26 snaps, like 41% of the snaps when I read yesterday. On my way out here, I got here last night. It was in the RV, stayed in the RV last night, and sat at the table and just kind of started reading stats and started reading, some of the snap counts and the plays and what they had them doing, and looking at some of the film, and they're not doing anything dynamic with Wyatt right now, or Quay Walker for that matter. This one is from Scott. Says, "I love to see 69 Bakhtiari back in the practice field. All that's left on the pup list is Crosby." Crosby, yes. Crosby is, from what I understand, going to be close to ready come the opener. And it didn't seem to be where Matt LaFleur had any real heavy concern for Mason Crosby. So I agree. It's, he's the only guy. It is a little concerning because the surgery on the knee, I mean, that's the leg that has all the swing. It has all the centrifugal force. It has all the snap. So, yes, there is a level of concern. But remember, he was just out last week. He's kicking a soccer ball around and starting to kind of, put that leg through its paces a little bit. I don't know how much this will upset his swing. I at the beginning of camp, I really looked for Mason Crosby to come back, to be able to, play again, so to speak. Like, it was not going to be a big deal. And last year was more process than it was the actual procedure, so to speak, of actually kicking the football. I think more so it was the snap, Bajorquez, the hold, things just were going awry. It continued to be a problem. And then it became kind of a hiccup in his delivery. And I think it just became a snowball effect to where they were missing kicks. I really thought this year with Pat O'Donnell coming in, changing the long snapper, I thought, okay, they're going to be a lot better. And I'm just kind of waiting for Crosby to come back and prove me right, because I'm really hoping for that. 877-867-1670. Mark says, what about Ty Summers? Only 32 snaps. Give me your thoughts. Ty Summers had a couple of plays. He's been a really good special teamer. And I've always said, if Ty Summers is going to make this team, he will show you things. His rookie season, he was sideline to sideline guy. He was blowing plays up. He looked really good. And you're like, wow, this guy, you talk about opening an eye. And then he, obviously didn't really get in on that many snaps. Certainly the middle linebacking position for the most part is filled at this point. And then you take into account that he's become really solid on special teams. That's the way he's making the team. So if you've got somebody as a backup, say you look at a guy like McDuffie, say Ladarius Hamilton becomes extremely solid, or Ray Wilburn, those guys, say they become really, really solid. Chris Barnes remains serviceable as well. Maybe Ty Summers doesn't make this team if those guys can play special teams, because McDuffie's looked good. Barnes has obviously had quality snaps. Quay Walker, you're not getting rid of. Devondre Campbell's going to be there. Now it's up to Ray Wilburn or Ty Summers, and then the numbers game as to how many middle linebackers are going to keep. Ty Summers, he's looked okay, but where he really needs to shine and continue to shine is in the special teams area, as that head-on gunner, that guy that's explosive. Rick says Heflin keeps playing well, and he's an effort guy. I agree with that. Jack Heflin, he reminds me a lot of back when Tyler Lancaster was trying to make the team, and Tyler Lancaster by his peers kept saying, "Got to watch this guy. Got to watch that guy." Tyler Lancaster is a guy that just came with a motor. He was just blue collar, in the trenches, junkyard dog, workhorse. Didn't have all the talent in the world, and that's ultimately the reason he's not here now. Didn't have all the talent, the size, the speed, the bulk, but he's just a workhorse. Heflin reminds me of being that guy. That's who Heflin reminds me of. So I'm looking at Heflin saying, yeah. And the other guy that I think he's pushing, you look at a guy like TJ Slayton. TJ Slayton's got to be more consistent. We have seen at times spurts out of him, but TJ Slayton's going to have to be a guy that's consistent. I can see the rotation being like Dean Lowry, Kenny Clark, Jerron Reed, Devontae Wyatt, Jack Heflin, those 5 guys getting a lot of run. TJ Slayton is going to get some time, but he's got to be as consistent. He looked good in the first preseason game. He did. You didn't hear his name called a lot in this last contest, but Jack Heflin, 62% of the snaps he ended up playing. TJ Slayton played 45 snaps, 71% of the snaps he ended up getting a chance to play this past contest. And like I said, has looked good. I just want to see more consistency out of him. That's all. I think TJ Slayton, for what they're asking him to do, just a couple of tackles. He wasn't like blowing things up, but he had stalemates at the line of scrimmage. He was able to cut off some cutback lanes, and then there were times that all of a sudden he was just gone. He was downfield, which you never want to be. 877-867-1670. Hey, our friends at Boondocks. I was out there yesterday, and first of all, love the place. The food is fantastic, and the Bang Bang Strip was fantastic. But that being said, they also donated to the Fisher House golf outing yesterday, which was nice. They're great people right out there on County Road K in Oconomowoc. Again, Boondocks Barbecue, Burgers, and Brews. The burger I had yesterday was perfect. Medium rare. Had some onions. Build your own burger. Onions, cheese, jalapenos on it. Oh, it was so good. Get those chips. I like chips with mayonnaise or barbecue sauce. Not a big just ketchup guy. So did a little bit of that yesterday. We had the Bang Bang Strip for a starter. So good. So good. Go out and say hi to everybody out at Boondocks Barbecue, Burgers, and Brews. They do a lot of great things in the area. They're a big supporter of the Fisher House and a big supporter of our motorcycle ride coming up in less than 2 weeks. And my assumption is Tom and the gang, they're going to have more than a few bikes that are going to be joining us on Sunday, September 4th. Hopefully you do as well. But don't forget about our friends at Boondocks Barbecue, Burgers, and Brews. And if you want to get signed up, you're watching on the Bud Light live stream right now, Sunday, September 4th, less than 2 weeks away. You got to get signed up. Get that pre-reg going. We're running out of time, and the weather looks to be good, so you can start going ahead and nodding to your friends and signing up now. 15th annual poker run benefiting Fisher House, Wisconsin for military members, veterans, and their families. They need the house at probably one of their most, I guess, vulnerable times when you're getting health care at the VA and your loved ones in the hospital getting some serious things done. You need that Fisher House to support you, and that's what we're here to do. So can you help us support them? Again, you can sign up today. Simply go to fisherhousewi.org, fisherhousewi.org, and go to the events page, and you can scroll down. It's right there. Get signed up today for this amazing ride coming up on Sunday, September 4th. And even if you're not a motorcyclist, send it to somebody who is. We can't do this without you. Please come out and help us. Stay tuned. We got more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
I give that a 2.99.
Okay. Hey, Dad.
What's wrong?
That woman over there. Don't look.
What did she do?
She judged my dive. Gave it a 2.99. Isn't that weird?
Hey, that's Gina Della from Pella. I'm going to find out what this is all about. Excuse me. Why are you judging my daughter's diving? I know who you are.
I'm sorry? Judging?
Yeah, she said you yelled out.
Oh, no, I wasn't talking about her. I was finalizing this month's special at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. That's funny.
What's special?
Pay only 2.99% interest for 10 years.
On new Pella windows. Really? 10 years?
Yep.
But it's the middle of summer. You can't get a deal on installing new windows during the warmest season.
You can at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
Oh, 2.99.
Dad?
Oh, not you, sweetheart. The deal at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. 2.99% for 10 years.
Visit PellaWI.com.
Proof credit.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Coming up here after the top of the hour, Eric Baranchak of the Green Bay Press-Gazette is going to be joining us. Glad to have him back this year. Going to break down the film, talk a lot about Jordan Love and his thoughts. He was pretty critical regarding Jordan Love last week, so we want to kind of get his take on it this week. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Cunis. Cunis RV, Wisconsin's fastest growing RV dealer. Doesn't matter what kind it is because they carry so many different makes and models, and a lot new, used as well, gently used as they like to say. If it's Jayco, Alliance, Coachman, Dutchman, I should say, Forest River, or Thor, or Heartland, Crossroads, they do it. They've got it all. All you got to do is stop in and check it out. Go to Cunis, Kunes, CunisRV.com. You can find them all up and down 90, 94, 43, 41, 45. Kunis is everywhere in the state of Wisconsin and growing beyond the borders as well. And they do consignment. Get a hold of them over at Kunis, Kunes, KunisRV.com. Still offering top dollar for your trade-ins, consignment, and some low-interest financing. They're trying to keep it as low as possible in a day and time in which the interest rates are raising dramatically. Kunis is trying to keep it down for you. So go to KunisRV.com. Back at Wild Ridge Golf Course here in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Give me your thoughts on the Green Bay Packers this past Friday night. Obviously, the final preseason game coming up on Thursday night. They're going to be in Kansas City. 598 days it's been since David Bakhtiari's been back. He comes off the PUP list yesterday. That's how long it's been since he tore the ACL. 598 days. 598 days. It was a harsh reality check that he ended up facing because of all the different setbacks, all the problems. But yeah, he was activated from the team's PUP list yesterday. And Matt LaFleur, quick to say, hey, wait a minute. As far as his availability goes, he's not going to jump right back in and start playing. But you do figure at some point he needs to get in to get some action. It comes precisely 7 days after the Packers activated 3 players from the PUP list, including Elton Jenkins, their big offensive lineman, coming off of his Pro Bowl campaign when he got the ACL tear on November 21st in Minnesota. He's yet to really participate in the 11-on-11 drills. The good news is Christian Watson is back at the 11-on-11 drills. So it seems like at least for right now, they're getting healthy at the right time. There's certainly a scenario where the Packers have both Bakhtiari and Jenkins back into the offense, possibly by the regular season opener. And how they're going to shuffle kind of the combination remains to be seen. But having just one of the linemen available completely changes the construction of the offense. Early projections, John Runyon Jr. maybe moved to left guard. Jenkins would commandeer one of the 2 spots on the right side of the line. He's taken just 1 career snap at right guard, 33 at right tackle. So most likely he would be your tackle. If not for week 1, the Packers should have both in the lineup at some point early in the season. Bakhtiari goes to left tackle. Jenkins probably at right tackle. The Packers no longer have the luxury of placing them on the PUP list, by the way, to begin the year, which would prompt them to miss the first 4 weeks of the season. So the Packers are pretty confident that they're close, both guys close to full health, which is good. And now you just kind of wait and see if they're able to, fully come back and be ready for the regular season opener, or if you got to take it a little bit slower than that. I know Bakhtiari's played a lot of years. He talked about that. So you're never going to be 100%. He said there's definitely a acute situation, which I would have said many times. Would love for it to be a very typical, easy, just go in there one time, clean it up, and we're good to go type of thing. So but it's not that way. And Bakhtiari going to have to deal with some of the rust that he's sustained over the last almost 2 years now, since he's really played some meaningful extended football. So. All is not completely right with the world, but at least it's trending in that direction. The best way to put it. There you go. This is from AT&T Dave, who says, great to have back. BAK, by the way. He also says, do you think Elton Jenkins remains at the right tackle position, or do you think until Jenkins decides to sign a long-term contract that he wants to play the left tackle until Bakhtiari comes back to prove that he can? You know what? Mike Clemens talked about this past, I think it was Friday. We had talked a little bit about that. If you're Elton Jenkins, now there's 2 things. One, what's completely 110% best for the team. And then 2, what's best for Elton Jenkins, who's going to be coming up on a contract. If Elton Jenkins, maybe his people, say, hey, look, we feel our value is capable to play both tackles, and therefore maybe, just maybe, we would rather have Elton until David Bakhtiari comes back, play left tackle and nowhere else, because we want to prove what his value is. The Packers are going to say, you know what, we need him at right tackle. We don't want to disrupt too many other portions of the line. He's been a right tackle. We know that he can play left in a pinch, but this is what we want because we feel it's best for the team. You could end up finding yourself in a little bit of a hurt feeling and or stalemate situation. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it's certainly not outside of the realm of possibility for an agent with an opportunity like this to get in the ear of his guy and say, hey, you know what? That might not be a bad thing if he can play some left tackle and prove that he can, and say, look at my versatility, look at my value, which we all know equates to money. So there's some thoughts there. Let's go to Mike in West Dallas. Mike, welcome to the program, The Bill Michaels Show. What's going on, man?
Hey, Bill, how's it going? Good Monday to you.
Good Monday. What's up?
So I just wanted to make some observations on the Packer game over the weekend. So I thought Jordan Love looked really good again. I think the stats don't really tell the full story the last couple weeks. He looks like a legit NFL starter to me. You know, I'm not saying he's going to be Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers, but he looks like an average NFL starter out there. And that's a heck of a lot better than he was last year and the year before that. You know, he had those beautiful passes to Samari Toure, Romeo Doubs, and Amari Rodgers, pinpoint accuracy with all those balls, and they were all dropped. You know, if those guys actually make those plays, it's a different ball game, different stat line, and then the Tyler Davis fumble sure didn't help. That guy needs to be cut, by the way. He's been terrible.
Yeah, he's been bad.
And then there was, and then there was a lot of conservative play calling by Matt LaFleur in the second half with run plays and short passes and everything. So all in all, Jordan Love, he looked great. And I think what this does, Bill, is it gives them options going forward. I think in the future, you know, after this year, I think they no longer need to be beholden to Aaron Rodgers, because I think Jordan Love will be ready at this time next year to take the helm. Amari Rodgers, I don't think he makes this football team. You know, I know he looks quicker than he did last year, but he doesn't get a ton of separation. He never seems to be on the same page with Jordan Love or Aaron Rodgers. And I think Juwan Winfrey is the better wide receiver at this point, you know, from everything that I've seen. And then my last point is, you know, I know we've talked about Romeo Doubs, but he looks like a star to me. I think that guy is going to be a star NFL receiver. He reminds me a lot of Greg Jennings. The guy gets open on virtually every play. And I look at it this way, Bill. Are any defensive coordinators in the NFL afraid of Randall Cobb, Alan Lazard, or Sammy Watkins?
No.
Now, would defensive coordinators be afraid of Romeo Doubs? I think the answer is yes.
I think at this point, yes. If he starts to catch the ball on a consistent basis as far as no drops, then he becomes really a serious weapon, because I think, and that's usually the last thing to come. Because right now you're just trying to concentrate on the route. You're not cutting it off. You're being where you're supposed to be, catching the ball in a window, turning your head at the right time, still working on separation moves. So catching the ball becomes almost secondary to everything else that you're trying to remember at this point in time. Once his instincts take over, then he goes back to catching the football, and I think he's going to be really, really good. I agree with you. I think he's a star in the making. I thought he was. I mean, you listen to the show. You know I've been promoting him for a long time. I thought Doubs was the better of the two wide receivers. I think Christian Watson's a work in progress. I think Doubs was ready to go right here, right now, because he's just got that kind of ability. But right now, you're not overwhelmingly scheming for Romeo Doubs until he begins to burn you on a consistent basis. But I agree with you. I think he's probably going to end up being the guy before it's all said and done.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said last week, Bill, the cream will rise to the top, I think. I don't think it matters what the week one starters are. And, you know, there was two comments that Matt LaFleur made by, about Romeo Doubs last week. He said that, you know, when he makes mistakes, he comes right back and he makes a play. And then the other thing that he says, you know, he's had some drops, but at the same time, you know, you cannot teach, you know, a guy that can get consistent separation. And that's something Romeo Doubs right off the bat. So there's a big bowl of clay to work with, and I think he will emerge as the number one starter before it's all said and done.
I would agree with it, Mike. Appreciate the phone call, man. Thanks for giving us a buzz as always. Yep. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. Hit us up. Find us. Would love to have you. Hey, if you are looking for hockey tickets and getting ready for some postseason hockey, boy, you got to start somewhere, right? And that's the Milwaukee Admirals. They went into the Calder Cup playoffs last year, got their first series win in a while. They feel they're on the right path for even more, and they're going to have a tremendous season ahead at UWM Panther Arena. Get a hold of the Milwaukee Admirals. Go to MilwaukeeAdmirals.com. Get your tickets now for everything, special events, dates, concerts, all that stuff. Again, MilwaukeeAdmirals.com. That is MilwaukeeAdmirals.com. BAK.com. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, a training camp update. In Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers held practice on the Ray Nitschke Field. Head coach Matt LaFleur announced that after 20 months and 3 knee surgeries, David Bakhtiari has finally been cleared to practice.
So Dave's coming off PUP today. He'll be out there at practice. He's only going to do individual, so you guys can just temper the expectations because I know there's going to be a bunch of questions now. It'll just be individual. It's just the next step, but we are excited to get him out there on the grass, and we'll take it one day at a time.
The all-pro tackle told and Brian Gutekunst.
It's a mix between where we at in the rehab, where we at me being a part of this team. So me and Goody had a conversation.
What makes a hater? Because I'm not a hater. I've been kind of a realist to this point. I haven't seen consistent flashes. I haven't seen that wow factor. You've seen a little bit of it in camp. I know that they worked on his footwork and his base and all that. You saw a few good throws in the game, and I said, hey, I give him credit. He looked better. But I don't have to gush over Jordan Love to prove to you that I'm not a, quote, hater, and I certainly don't hate. But what is considered a hater? Tell me. Fill me in. I'd love to know. Hey, stick around. We're going to hear from Mike Clemens coming up here in a little bit. Eric Branchek of the Green Bay Press-Gazette going to be joining us. Rowdy's going to be sitting in for Ebo, and at some point, we got to get Rowdy's rant on the Milwaukee Brewers, which I thought was epic. Just rolling through counterpoint after counterpoint after counterpoint as to why the Brewers, as he put it, sucks. We'll get into that discussion. Stick around, a lot more Wild Ridge Golf Course here in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, brought to you by our friends at Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. We'll be back right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
The Milwaukee Brewers avoided a 3-game sweep by beating the Chicago Cubs at Wrigley yesterday 5-2. Keston Hiura would have 2 home runs. Rowdy Tellez would add another, and Willie Adames picked up his 70th RBI of the year. That win now leaves the Brewers 5 games behind the Cardinals for first place in the NL Central and a game and a half back of Philadelphia for a wild card spot. The Brewers will now head west to face the Dodgers tonight in a 3-game set. Friday night saw the Green Bay Packers take down the New Orleans Saints 20-10 at Lambeau Field in preseason game number 2. And yesterday, the Packers got some more good news. All-Pro left tackle David Bakhtiari was activated off the physically unable to perform list and practiced for the first time this summer.
Oh man, it's been there's just a certain at peace being out there with the guys, putting pads on, and realizing how much I love the game until it was tried to be taken away from me, and I was like, nope, not gonna happen. So it's nice to just begin that first step on my journey to be back out there.
Up next for the Packers, they'll close out the preseason Thursday night at Kansas City.
Keeping Wisconsin strong.
When a company only does business in Wisconsin, that's Wisconsin Strong. Rural Mutual provides all lines of insurance, including commercial, farm, home, and auto. And your premiums stay right here to keep Wisconsin strong. Local agents, local underwriters, local claims adjusters.
Rural Mutual Insurance. Keeping Wisconsin strong.
September 3rd is Wisconsin football's first game as they welcome in Illinois State to Camp Randall. And with a new offensive coordinator, Bobby Ingram, quarterback Graham Mertz says they're adding new wrinkles to their offense.
Want to play smart, want to play tough, want to play physical ball. And there's plenty of different ways to do that. So for us, it's just kind of doing what we've always done, but maybe adding a few little tweaks in there. I love where we're at.
For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
Welcome all. We are broadcasting live. We are here at Wild Ridge Golf Course. We're in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Beautiful day today. Very few clouds in the sky. Kind of a high bright sky today. But as you sit here and watch over on the Bud Light live stream, you look live out over the golf course. It is stunning. Can't wait to get out and play. It's one of my favorite courses. It really is somewhat of a hidden gem here in the state of Wisconsin. One of my favorite courses. Just a beautiful golf course. A lot of twists, turns, undulations, sand traps and such, good greens. It's well kept, well manicured. It's a beautiful place. So if you get a chance to come in this direction, you want to play some golf and maybe a hidden gem that you have never played before, Wild Ridge Golf Course here in Eau Claire. That's the place to do it. Joining us now over on the Bud Light live stream and on the hotline is our buddy Mike Clemens. Michael, how you doing, pal?
I'm good. Sounds like a nice day in Eau Claire.
It's beautiful here today. So excited, but more so excited because the Packers are back in pads. David Bakhtiari is out on the field, although not in 11-on-11 drills. But good news about Christian Watson being ready to go. It seems like things right now anyway are trending in the right direction, right?
Yeah, kind of a another kind of sneaky Sunday morning from the Packers after Friday night's preseason game in front of 71,000 fans. Good to see you up in the press box and saying hi to everybody. And then, it's early Sunday morning, and LaFleur comes in and says, well, I got an announcement. We're taking Dave off the PUP today. So, wow. I mean, this has been going on for 20 months, nearly 600 days, this thing where he's out there in helmets and sweatpants on New Year's Eve 2020, and just suddenly he feels this tweak in the left knee, and he's like, oh, come on, that can't be what it is, right? And then when they tell him, yeah, you had an MRI, it's the ACL, he's like throwing the phone across the living room when he found out a few hours later. This long saga begins. And so, he had 3 surgeries, and, he talked, last January about the swelling he had all through last season. So Bakhtiari was standing in his locker, and it was just a few of us that were in the locker room yesterday in the media, because, like I said, kind of a quiet Sunday, maybe a lot of folks down in Chicago covering the Brewers and Cubs. And so Bakhtiari was asked, were you the victim of a botched surgery in this thing?
No. It's unfortunate. I'd love to sit here and be like so quick, everything's smooth, life was great, but I mean, there's a lot of unforeseen things that I had to go through, and it sucked. It definitely wore me down for sure, but I know I'm not going to quit. I mean, I don't care. You can keep going in there. We're going to keep freaking turning the engine on and starting gear 1 and go up to gear 6 again. If we stall out in gear 3, cool. What's going on? All right, cool. And then let's go back. I mean, that's the mental attrition that I had to constantly keep going through was when we started ramping up. Then it's like, God, I got to do this again. And it's just that's the part that just sucked. But I mean, I can sit here and sulk, or I can take it day by day, put one foot in front of the other. All right, let's go. I mean, sulking ain't going to make my knee better. What's it going to be? Got to cut in me? Good, let's do that. Got to start rehab? Cool, start over again. Got to start with contracting my quad again? Great, let's go do it again for the 3rd time.
So, Mike, he had the one surgery initially, and then the second one, which, again, came as kind of a surprise when we found out that they cut on him. They had to go back in. There was a lot of drainage that was going on. It's been a saga for Bakhtiari.
Yeah. So, he has the injury on New Year's Eve. You got to wait 10 days or more for swelling to go down, and he has ACL surgery. By, I would say, the late OTAs or mini camps in June of last year, he's out there high stepping. He's got a trainer and he's got a harness around his waist, and he's, pulling weight and all that. And it's like, well, this is a guy who looks like he's going to try and be ready for the opener that would turn out to be in Jacksonville against the Saints. Well, maybe not so much. And then he would try and get a helmet on and work out a little bit, and then he'd disappear for a couple of days. And of course, later we found out that he just was having tremendous swelling with this thing. And then after, sort of on again, off again in limited participation in a couple of drills, then he just went and disappeared. And, all LaFleur would say was, well, it's day to day. Well, did he have a setback? It's day to day. Well, we later found out, yeah, he had to have a second surgery. So we went through this yesterday, and I thought he was pretty open about this, about after the ACL surgery in January, what was that second surgery you had last October in the middle of the season?
It was cartilage.
Okay. And then what was the third one? What did you have to
cleanup? Cleanup. You're not my doctor. I don't have to tell you. I was there like, hold on. I was like, do I have to give you that? No, I just like cleanup. I asked the questions. I know what's going on, but I mean, just standard cleanup stuff. And now it's like, all right, cool. Got that out of the way.
Is there a point where the doctor shows you a positive scan and that gives you confidence you're ready? Or was this decision mostly based on how you've been responding after workouts?
It's really been how I've been responding after workouts. I mean, obviously, we've had a positive scan the first time, and then we had to go get a positive scan the second time, and then even the third time. And that's really been the big hurdles through this whole process has been the inability to get over one surgery and have it compounded with a second one. And now I have to get over now 2 together, and then didn't get a chance to fully get over the second one. Then I had to get a third one. So it's like, that's really been a struggle through the, physiologically in my knee, and then the atrophy that comes with that. And I mean, Larry, you probably understand. You've had probably a fair amount of your surgeries over time. So it's really just managing that, and then once letting that dust settle, then building back up and now becoming a football player.
So, Mike, Bakhtiari's back. Great news there. The other.
Yeah, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
You went through this.
Yeah.
Playing ball in college, and he was talking to Larry McCarron there, who 10, 15 years as a center for the Green Bay Packers, and sometimes even 10, 15 years after your career, things start to break down, and you have to have attention to this. But he didn't seem to indicate that he had a unusual or bizarre ACL tear to begin with. I thought he was pretty forthcoming about this, but I mean, what's your take or feels to why this thing lasted 20 months?
It's funny because the same surgery's been performed thousands of times. Some guys, their bodies just don't react good to an invasive process. And then obviously when you start to work it back, your knee will move either in a tighter or different direction, or just the slightest side movement, whatever it happens to be. And then all of a sudden you get a little piece of cartilage that'll tear loose, and the smallest tear can be painful, and that can cause swelling.
He made that point.
Yeah.
He made that point, Bill.
Yeah.
He said, first of all, ACL surgery is pretty evasive.
Yeah.
He made that point. So I think you're right there. Oh, I forgot to ask him too if it's cadaver or not. They usually have to use a cadaver piece to replace the ACL. I did ask him, will you need to wear a brace on the knee? And he said, no, I don't think so. So he plans to go braceless. That may change before they put him in contact. But I think that's an interesting point that you make there about, this is a complicated surgery. Things happen.
Yeah, it's and somebody, sometimes guys just react differently. The body reacts differently. I've actually had where I had a piece of insertion under the skin for myself that was into my wrist at one point, and my body rejected it to the point that it literally shoved it out of my body. So, and this was there as a monitoring piece on one of my veins. So, everybody reacts a little differently, and his body just didn't take to it real well. And I get it. I don't think it was like, put it this way, Mike, it's not like everything's weak. I mean, they don't, the replacement of the ACL, it's not like they use damaged parts or his knee's not, the knee is the knee. The structural is all the same. It's how it responds around it with swelling and pain and tears and how quickly it deteriorates beyond that. That will determine as to whether or not he's in the league for a year or the next 10 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so they got cut downs to 80 players from 85 to 80 tomorrow by 3. And then a week from tomorrow is when they go from 80 to 53. And that's when they had to make the decision on PUP. And if they didn't get him off by then he would miss the first 4 weeks. So, right now this feels like, 2 weeks or so, 2.5 weeks of individual, and then maybe a week in there where they put some pads on, let them knock, heads around. And, maybe, I don't know if he's ready for the Vikings game, but, certainly he might be able to play a game sometime in September. That's what the feel of this thing is right now.
So the other guy was good news that Christian Watson is back doing the 11-on-11.
He dressed, the rookie receiver dressed for the game Friday night and participated in the pregame warm-ups. And that's also kind of just a dress rehearsal. Like, here's what a game is at Lambeau. You did that once before at family night. He said, no, there was no plan that he was going to get any snaps. He says, because I haven't had any 11-11s in this camp yet. And he also felt yesterday in his first practice out there, you're kind of gassed, even though you're trying to keep in shape. There's a thing called football shape. And so when he ran some of those patterns over the middle in helmets and shorts yesterday, he was kind of getting gassed. So but Christian Watson now back on the field where maybe another week or two, he can put on some pads and start having some contact and testing out that knee he had scoped after mini camp. But then, we asked him about this stuff going on with the young receivers. And after this big nationally talked about meeting Aaron Rodgers had with the young receivers, does he think that the rookies are paying more attention now to number 12?
I definitely do. I think it was, urgency before that, but I mean, there's, kind of like I was saying before, there's a lot of things that, you're going to have to learn, and there's going to be a lot of trial and error, obviously, with the young guys, because, we haven't been here. 12 has a lot of experience. We don't. So, I mean, I feel like there's going to be a couple of those meetings, just kind of, get us up on speed. I know that, we're rookies, but, he's not going to treat us like rookies because we're going to have to play like vets out there if we want to be successful out there. But, I definitely did think it put a little pep in our step just in terms of, wanting to be there a little bit more for him and for everybody on the offense.
So I like the fact that Christian Watson's, kind of just getting himself back in shape, getting himself ready to go. The fact that he has to, obviously between him and the rookies, they have to get on the same page with Aaron Rodgers very quickly. So, with Rodgers going back to Aaron, the offense has looked at times somewhat out of sync in training camp. Now, we have yet to see all the starters on the field for a preseason game, Mike, but it just hasn't looked smooth, right?
Right. They, once again, LaFleur resting 30 players. 4 or 5 of them are injured, but, resting all the starters, the veterans, so that they can get the younger players out there for evaluation. I think that's pretty much what Goodikins wants to see. Whether or not, again, they're playing this cat and mouse game, whether some starters will get some snaps Thursday night against Andy Reid's Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes playing 3 or 4 drives over the weekend for the Chiefs to get his game going. But I wanted to talk about this because, we get in here yesterday morning about 9. We have press conferences. We went to practice. We talked to the locker room. We did some interviews. And then, it's about 7 or 8 o'clock, and I still had some more work to do, but I had to take a break, get out of the stadium for the media office here, grab a bite to eat. And I go to this place I went to was kind of busy, but they still had a place at the bar, so I just got some food at the bar. And there's a couple of boys there at the end of the bar, throwing back the beer and watching the Bengals Giants game last night. And like, the media, they're talking about how Rodgers was, he's calling these guys out. Why is he even calling these guys out? Why is he rip them? Why is it? And I'm like, I'm gritting my teeth because they don't know. We're talking to somebody that's, covering the team. And so I just want to clarify this. Aaron Rodgers watched the 49ers game. Then he just finished his first joint practice against the Saints, and he had young guys dropping passes, lining up in the wrong spot, running the wrong routes, running the same routes as some guy 10 yards behind him, and he got frustrated. And that's when I suggested to him in that presser, like, so do you actually go down the hallway and talk to these guys when you see these problems? And it turns out the next morning he did. But here's how it was right after that practice last Tuesday when we said, what is the problem? Why do you think the young guys are out of sync?
It's unfortunately some of the same guys. That's repeat mistakes are a problem. So we just got to clean those things up a little bit. The young guys, they got to, especially young receivers, we got to be way more consistent. A lot of drops, a lot of bad route decisions, run the wrong route. So we gotta get better in that area. But I felt like the line, for the most part, held up pretty good, which was good to see.
You come out of a practice and say, there's 6 or 7 things that went wrong today. I hope it gets cleared up in the position meetings this afternoon. And are you running up and down the hallway trying to make those corrections for the next day, or are you frustrated that the same thing repeats the next day?
I mean, you got to leave some of that to the coaches. There's a reason that they're leading those rooms. Every now and then, if there's something really important, then I might slip into the tight end room or the receiver room, but you got to trust the coaching on that. I feel like we were talking this morning about watching film with the receivers from time to time. I had a conversation with a couple of the young guys about the standard that we're going to hold them to. They are rookies, but they're NFL players, and what's been on film hasn't been good enough as of yet. So there's been some splash plays, but there's been a lot of mistakes. And we watch every single clip. Watching all the 1 reps, all the 2 reps, the 3 reps in our quarterback room, and we don't miss anything. So there's a standard we're going to hold our guys to, and I know the coaches are holding them to that standard as well.
Mike, with Aaron Rodgers talking to the media, talking to the young receivers, you would assume that when he talks, they listen. The other aspect of that is, Brady is looked at on the sideline screaming and yelling at people as this hardcore fighter and this guy that wants to win. Rodgers gets in their ass, and he's a baby. He doesn't say anything to him, and he's not coaching him up. I mean, Rodgers almost seems like at times he just can't win.
That is a 1-hour discussion, and there's, but there's things that Aaron has done that hasn't helped his case. Last year it got pretty bad when he was, holding out on the team, attacking the media, wasn't straightforward about the vaccination, blah, blah, blah. But this goes back to years ago where, you remember there was a time where Greg Jennings and Clay Matthews were on 60 Minutes and said, yeah, he's kind of thin-skinned. Sometimes he can't really take a joke. And, oh, man, he gets mad. And it kind of starts from there, that image, as opposed to Brady, being the Superman that he is. I do know this, and you said it yourself. You said it last week on the show that Aaron Rodgers is very calculated about what he says, and I said, yeah, except this time, I'm telling you, this was just an honest reaction to a bad practice, and he's trying to fix problems in practice. And underlying, we all said this. One way to solve that, Aaron, is come to more OTAs and more minicamp practices, because you didn't this year. Neither did Alan Lazard. Remember, he told me I was building a house. I didn't have to come to voluntary OTAs. All right. But Randall Cobb is his guy in that receivers room, and also kind of came out the next day after Stephen A. Smith is ripping Rodgers nationally and everybody else. And Randall said, look, here's what we're talking about in the receivers room after we talk to 12.
It's basically just going off of what Aaron said, just continuing that communication. And like I said, a lot of the things is things that we've talked about in the receiver room. But it's like a parent. You hear one thing from your parent, but you hear one thing from your friend. You might do what your friend tells you. I've been saying the same thing that he said in the meeting today. So it's just making sure they understand the opportunity that they have and not letting it squander away. Making sure that they're focused on the little details in everything that we do is seeing the full picture. It's not always about your route and what you have. It's how you fit into the play concept and being in the right place at the right time. If something happened and we're on the same different page, I'm going to go up and I'm going to ask a question. I send our young receivers to the quarterback room all the time. If we're talking about something, go get the quarterback's opinion. Let's hear what he has to say. Because there's one thing when I say it or when the coach says it, but the guy that's throwing you the ball, it's important for you to be on the same page with him.
Let's do this. Got Mike Clemens in Green Bay. We'll come back with him. He is brought to you by the Bay Motel in Green Bay. Quiet, cozy, comfortable, just a mile from Lambeau. Perfect for a family stay, a tailgate stay, whatever it happens to be in the Bay Family Restaurant. Home-style cooking 7 days a week right there on South Military Avenue in Green Bay. That's the Bay Motel. Call them today for reservations, 920-494-3441, 920-494-3441, or go online at baymotelgreenbay.com. That is baymotelgreenbay.com. More with Mike Clemens up in Green Bay coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket, this is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Warm summer nights, cool beverages, and that smell coming from the grill. Steaks, chops, dogs for the kids. There's nothing better than a relaxing cookout. Where does it all start? Heaven? No. Pasture-raised beef from a second-generation Wisconsin family-owned farm. Better yet, how would you like the best beef delivered right to your doorstep? To see all that they have to offer and to place your order, go to ScholzeFamilyBeef.com. That's SCHOLZE FamilyBeef.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Touchdown pass. Goes up for the high point. He can bring it down, and Romeo Dobbs does just that. Gets his hands up there. No doubt about it. Another splash play.
I don't know how you guys see it, but the way I see it and seeing it on a daily basis, I think he's light years ahead of where he was a year ago.
Welcome back to the program. Joining us on the hotline, our buddy Mike Clemens. That is the tones of one Kevin Harlan doing the preseason football for the Green Bay Packers. Mike Clemens, Matt LaFleur after that, and Mike Clemens up in Green Bay. And so, Mike, as we continue to move forward, the Matt LaFleur discussion regarding, Jordan Love. You and I talked during the game and after the game. I thought Jordan Love played better. He made more than a few plays that I think kind of opened our eyes. That toss to Dobbs in almost triple coverage I thought was spectacular. The one that just was off the fingertips of Torrey was a really good play action pass as he got the defense to completely bite into the play action fake. I thought he did some good things.
Bill, we'll let the fans argue forever whether or not the Packers should have traded up when they did to get Jordan Love at the top of the draft. That's fine. The fact of the matter is, the Vikings just had to trade for Nick Mullins from the Raiders, who's been around for 2 or 3 different teams, because they're desperate just to find a qualified backup quarterback for Kirk Cousins and their team. So let's say at least right now, Jordan Love should be a qualified backup for Aaron Rodgers to get through this season, should Rodgers need a couple of weeks off or some time off. And I would have to say that after sitting through Brett Hundley and Deshaun Kaiser, a guy that the Packers traded for, I think Jordan Love is better now than those guys. He's certainly even more athletic. But he's not going to be the next Hall of Famer. He's not going to be Bart Starr. Mm-hmm. He's not going to be Brett Favre. He's not going to be Aaron Rodgers. That's hitting the lottery 4 times, mm-hmm. I think. But look what other teams are doing, scrambling now just to find a quarterback, much less, one that's going to take you to the Super Bowl. And let me remind people, you can win a Super Bowl with Jim McMahon, with Mark Rypien for the Redskins in the 90s. Remember that? Mm-hmm. How about Trent Dilfer for the Ravens? How about Brad Johnson for the Buccaneers? How about Nick Foles for the Eagles stepping in? Mm-hmm. Or an older Matthew Stafford getting out of Detroit and being around a good defense and good receivers and an excellent coach and just barely getting by the Cinderella Cincinnati Bengals. So that's what, Gutekunst is saying is, like, at least we can put a guy in a system. So I wanted to talk about some positives that I thought that are worth noticing. And that's an 11-play drive in the second quarter. You go 80 yards and you sustain the drive and you're moving the chains. And there was one key play in there. It was a 2nd and 1 at the 47, and Jordan Love comes to the under center, and he's surveying the field. And then he goes play action to his left. He fakes the handoff. Then he takes his steps, 3, 4, 5, and he plants, and he throws a ball that it's to number 88, Jawan Winfrey, who's lined up on the right-hand side, but crossed over the first hash mark, the second hash mark to the left-hand side of the field. and Love's ball goes perfectly over the coverage and drops into Winfrey's hands. It was timing. There's all kinds of good things about that play. That's a big-time play, and I'll ask LaFleur what he saw on the film yesterday morning.
Yeah, no, it was a great job, and it was a great job by Romeo on the other side releasing. We ran a crossing pattern, and I think just first of all, it starts up front, right? We had great action. He had a really nice pocket. The guys did a really good job in protection, and then just Jawan and Romeo ran great routes, and I thought Jordan threw one of his better balls of the day. I mean, it was a beautiful pass. It wasn't like, I would say it's a higher degree of difficulty when you have underneath defenders that he had to layer the ball over. So I thought it was just an extremely well executed play.
Mike, Jordan Love, here's my question. How did he feel he played after you got a chance to talk to him in the locker room after the game?
He's pretty humble. He's pretty humble. He knows he made some mistakes, but he's a man of pride, and he knows, again, don't you think that I'm improving every game? And he's not going to say this. He doesn't have the place to say that, but he's playing with the same guys that Aaron Rodgers is complaining about. Okay, so he may have to cover for a lot of mistakes. It's not like he's out there with Randall Cobb and Sammy Watkins and Alan Lazard. He's doing this with the seconds and the threes and the fours and all that. So I talked to Jordan about this yesterday at length, and I asked him about that play, that 2nd and 1, and he hits Winfrey, who's crossing over 3 zones after the play action, and how complicated a play is that?
Yeah, I think just getting to the top of the drop, having the rhythm at the top, and then I think Juwan ran a good route, was able to get in front of the DB, and it's one of those balls you just got to put in the right spot, and the backer was trying to get underneath it. I saw him just put it over the top of him.
Is that one of the more complicated calls? Because it just seems like the play action time has got to be right, the footwork, where you put the ball, and to him to be there in the spot on time.
Yeah, they're longer developing plays, a little bit more complex, but those are the ones I like. Be able to get the play action, get the backers to suck up a little bit, and be able to get the routes behind them. But those are the plays I like. But yeah, they are a little bit longer developing.
On your touchdown ball to Romeo, that's a crazy throw, fastball, and he makes a hell of a catch, right? When you look at that on tape, do you say, oh, maybe that should have been a touch ball in the backhand corner? Or do you trust that guy can make a play like that for you? Is that a safe play? Because you can, hey, if it misses, it's safe and it goes out of bounds.
Yeah, no, I think, you get a one-on-one matchup with Romeo out there. We had the fade called. I know he's going to go up and get it. It's just, we got to put the ball in the right spot, give him a chance. And, we got it off so quick that the DB didn't even have time to really react to it. But, yeah, no, let's just trust. Trust Romeo's going to go up there and get it. But, yeah, like you said, it's a safe play. If he doesn't get it, put it where nobody else can get it. But, he made a great play right there, going up, catching it, strong hands, and controlled it to the ground.
Jordan, on that ball, when you flash and see it open, you say fastball. Is that what is kind of the way your reaction to it?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like it's a quicker play. You got to react quick and kind of see how the DB's playing it, see how his release is. He kind of beat off the line. There was a little bit of room right there. So it's kind of a jump ball all the way. But, yeah, I mean, you could throw it different ways, but the way the DB was playing it and the way Romeo, kind of got up to him on the line, and it depends on who you have out there too. But I trust Romeo, he's going to go win a jump ball with whoever's out there. So it's just trust ball, really.
Thanks, Jordan.
There you go. That's Jordan Love talking with Mike Clemens. Mike, get over to practice, man. We appreciate it. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it.
All right, buddy. Talk to you. There you go. That is our good buddy Mike Clemens. Let's do this. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. I want to address some stuff because there's a whole lot of told you so's when you people have been wrong to this point. And Gary, you're one of them over on the Bud Light live stream. You haven't said a damn word. All of a sudden, you start getting a few hits out of Keston here, and you think you're smarter than the average bear. We also have Eric Branchek coming up. We're going to talk with him about Jordan Love's performance and what he saw on tape in the game on Friday night. We'll get into that discussion as well. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
One of the worst things that you can hear, you have cancer. The worst is when you hear the words, your child has cancer. When a child is diagnosed with cancer, it changes their world. Sometimes they can't even do things that they really love, like playing soccer, riding a bike, going to prom, attending school. Children with cancer spend a lot of time away from others, time in the hospital, treatments, tired, nauseous, and they feel isolated. That's where Special Spaces Wisconsin steps in. They provide these children with a special space where they can not only sleep, but they can play, they can heal, they can spend time away from the challenges of their illness. It's a customized bedroom designed just for them. How about a princess castle or a pirate ship or a sports-themed bedroom? They transform that child's existing bedroom into a place that only he or she can imagine, a place for them just to be a kid. This effort is done with teams of dedicated volunteers and sponsors, just like our friends from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and all the community partners. If you'd like to find out more or to donate, go to specialspaces.org. That is specialspaces.org.
Are you a gold breaker? Play your favorite games at Potawatomi Sunday afternoons now through September, and you could win your share of $1 million in prizes. Break the code, win the $10,000 top jackpot, and everyone playing slots also wins a prize. Anyone can win on any machine again and again. Do you have the golden touch? Gold Breaker, only at Potawatomi. Visit paysbig.com/goldbreaker for more. Must be 21 years old and a club member to play.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program, The Bill Michaels Show. We are glad you're with us today, as always. We are broadcasting live today at Wild Ridge Golf Course. We're in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, and love it here. Love it out here. This is a beautiful golf course. If you've never been, I mean, it's a place that you gotta get a chance to come out. And if you're a golfer at all, put it on your list of really cool courses in the state of Wisconsin. Just an FYI. Coming up now, we got Eric Branchek at the Green Bay Press-Gazette joining us, as he does on Mondays after a Packers game. So, Eric, let's start with the guy that everybody's talking about. Suddenly, Jordan Love's a Hall of Famer and leading the Green Bay Packers to a Super Bowl. Do you feel better about this team now?
Oh man, that's pretty funny. Yes, he's a first ballot shoe-in, right?
Yeah.
Do I feel good? Yeah. I mean, I've always felt good. I thought their offense is going to look a little bit different, but I like the fact that they have a mature quarterback who is off the charts smart and has arm talent that you can't stop. So I think I've always felt good about their offense. They're going to run more offense and let's just throw it to Devontae Adams. So I really like seeing so far in the preseason without Aaron Rodgers playing. You see him running some of their base plays, more ends around. The running plays are going to look a little bit different, but I'm really excited to see Dillon and Jones in the backfield once we see that week one. So there's a lot of things to be excited for. Jordan Love's got a lot of work to do. Certainly, some of his accuracy kind of reminds me a little bit of another guy. Don't construe this the wrong way, but it seems like Brett Favre always had to miss a couple early, especially to the running back, and then after that he would kind of settle down. So hopefully that's kind of a trait that falls through with Mr. Love. But he's still got a ways to go with being able to get the balls in the right spots. But much better.
You can go through a lot of different things. Okay, obviously Romeo Doubs, he's getting a lot of praise. Granted, he's got a couple of drops to his name, and I understand that. And I think catching the football is going to eventually come to him after he figures out where he's supposed to be, what kind of a route he's supposed to run, how crisp it's supposed to be, the hole that the ball is going to be delivered in. I think catching the football becomes almost second nature after he becomes comfortable with the rest of that. But then you look at different wide receivers that this team has. And obviously Juwan Winfrey with a nice catch. And then you go down the list. Torrey had the one pass to him that I thought was right off of his fingertips. And he could have maybe dove and felt a little bit more comfortable if he needed to. But I thought it should have been caught. But, he was in the right place at the right time. But, when you start to look at the depth chart, Winfrey, like I mentioned, when you look at a guy like Samori Toure, Danny Davis, those guys might be heading towards the practice squad before it's all said and done.
For sure. It's pretty crowded in there right now. They got a lot of bodies. And I think, the addition of Sammy Watkins, that's other than in practice, that's the only thing we've seen. And what I have been able to ascertain is that he certainly is he came with some baggage, right? Maybe not the most quarterback-friendly wide receiver and a little outspoken maybe, but it sounds to me like, being in the same room with Aaron Rodgers has kind of changed his tune a little bit. So that be interested to see how that whole works out. And I that the Winfrey kid, boy, there's something about that kid that I've liked for a couple of years now. Last year, I thought he had some upside. I still think he's not hit his ceiling yet. Danny Davis, there's kind of a surprise there too. I don't think a lot of people expected a whole lot out of him. We saw the first preseason game, and that touchdown run, we saw a little bit of a explosion and being able to turn his hips. So that's pretty interesting. And Amari Rodgers is kind of, they drafted him to be that wing or that slot receiver type guy who's going to be able to take jet sweeps and orbit motion and take end arounds, those kind of things. So those are things that the offense is going to have that we didn't see a whole lot of in the past. And then the other part too that people got to remember is those running backs are going to get an awful lot of balls their way too. So not just the wide receiver group, but I think the running backs, and it'll be fun to see if the Goodson kid from Iowa can hang on to some more passes out of the backfield. He'd be a really nice looking number 3 running back.
Talking with Eric Branchek of the Green Bay Press-Gazette, talking about the Packers this past Friday night and what to look forward to down the road. Now you go over to the defensive side of the football. I really liked what I saw out of Isaiah McDuffie the other night. How about you?
Yeah, he's playing with his hair on fire. That's for definite sure. I still think he might be a little bit light to play a strong side linebacker. And sometimes when he takes on offensive linemen, he gets kind of tied up. But his ability to diagnose things, and this is a classic case of a second-year guy. The first year, you look at Quay Walker right now in similar position, the weak side linebacker, and you see him. He's getting things done because he's fast, technique-wise, and he's able to read things a little bit. And when I watched McDuffie last year, I saw this. Not a whole major grasp of the offense, but what most people don't realize is in your second year or your second season there, you understand, you've got an understanding of the defense. Nothing is too big. It's go out now and play. And, good thing for the Packers that they hung on to him, because now I think they really got a nice looking unit there with Campbell and Walker and Barnes and him. Boy, that's a nice unit. And, at both those, Barnes and McDuffie will definitely be special team guys. And those are the kind of guys you want. And, it's really hard to make it 17 games without an injury at any spot. And now I think you feel better if you had to rely on Barnes and if you have to rely on McDuffie going into a game.
How about Enigbare? Mike Clemens and I were talking on Friday, and Mike said, man, he's looked better. He's really kind of locked in over the last week. Give me your thoughts on how he played.
Certainly there needs to be some improvement there. I mean, that position is the weakest position unit on the, and nobody's really rising to the and showing any explosiveness off the corner. I guess when I look at it this way, Rashawn Gary's first year, much there. I mean, he had one move. His feet were and everything. His strength was fine, but really didn't understand past the NFL. And now, he's probably, you got to whisper his name in the top end of pictures, and hopefully this season it comes to fruition that he's a 12 that guy. And Enigbare, I just needs more. He needs to just understand pass rushing in the NFL, and he's going to need to have multiple moves, develop looking at his body type, probably a spin move back inside once he gets that inside hip upfield a little. And I'd really like to see him sink his hips a little bit better. Really going to try and tackle a guy with hands. So things that you coach, but the one kind of coach is that explosiveness, and maybe he's got it. Maybe we haven't seen it a lot, but that's missing out of everybody besides Gary and a little bit with Smith.
Eric, always good. We got a Thursday night game. We're going to talk again soon, okay?
All right. You hope you enjoy the rest of the week. Have a good time. Beautiful out there this time of year.
Yes, it is. I completely agree. Appreciate it, pal. There you go. Eric Branchek of the Green
So
Bay
enjoy
Press.
your day.
Thanks,
a lot.
buddy. Eric Branchek of the Green Bay Press-Gazette joining us for a couple of minutes on the hotline, and good to get his perspective. So, in other words, hey, he says, much like I did, it looks better, still has some things it needs to work on, but nevertheless, it was a move in the positive direction, I guess, might be the best way to put it. You take it and you continue to run with it. Hopefully you build on it. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends over at New Mail Medical, the original at treating guys with ED. Others, they've kind of come along, but there's only one. The one original, that's the New Mail Medical Center, the medical experts there helping guys with ED. They've got a 98% success rate. That's 98%. And when it comes to low energy or brain fog, if you're feeling sluggish, you're moody, you're up and down, could be low T, and they help me out with that. Then comes the all-in-one weight loss program, and I am glad to be back on it. Feel a little bit better this week, down a couple, so feel good. It works, but you can't do anything if you don't call. Call my guys, the medical experts in Milwaukee, Green Bay, all their locations. Doesn't matter where you're at. 414-455-4451. That's 414-455-4451. That is our friends at the New Mail Medical Center. We are broadcasting live at Wild Ridge Golf Course here in Eau Claire. And I want to say once again, thanks and congratulations and welcome back to all of our friends at WJJQ and Tomahawk there in the North Woods. We are excited to have you back in the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Wisconsin isn't snobby, snooty, or pretentious. It's Midwestern charm at its finest. And that's exactly what Forgotten Fire Winery in Peshtigo is all about. Fun in a bottle without the attitude. You can find their full wine and cider lineup in their tasting room or in liquor and grocery stores throughout the state. The winery is a great place to get away for wine and cider tastings, great live music, and private events all year long. Remember, any time is a great time for Forgotten Fire wines and ciders. Wisconsin wine made from Wisconsin people.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, a training camp update. In Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers reviewed the tape of their 20-10 preseason win over the Saints. How did quarterback Jordan Love look? Matt LaFleur.
I don't know how you guys see it, but the way I see it and seeing it on a daily basis, I think he's light years ahead of where he was a year ago.
Early in the second quarter, Love led the team on an 11-play, 80-yard drive that took nearly 7 minutes off the clock and delivered a laser in the corner to rookie receiver Romeo Doubs. I spoke to Love after the game.
You know, you get a one-on-one matchup with Romeo out there. We had the fade called. I know he's going to go up and get it. It's just, you know, we got to put the ball in the right spot.
Jordan, on that ball, when you flash and see it open, you say fastball.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like it's a quicker play. You know, you got to react quick and see how the DB's playing it, see how his release is. You know, he kind of beat off the line. There was a little bit of room right there, kind of a jump ball all the way.
Doubs jumped into the end zone for a Lambeau leap in the same spot Leroy Butler did it back in 1993.
You know, I and Jordan, we pretty much just repped it tons of times. So it comes from practice. You know, the philosophy here is practice equals game-like play.
David Bakhtiari has been taken off the PUP, and after a year and a half and 3 surgeries on his left knee, will try to regain his spot at left tackle. Rookie receiver Christian Watson, who had minor knee surgery after minicamp in June, was back on the field taking some reps in practice.
Feels like it's been a long time coming for me. You know, it's only been a few weeks. It's definitely been a long time coming. And, you know, I've been itching to get back out there, so it felt great.
That's Packers receiver Christian Watson in Green Bay. I'm Mike Clemens on The Bill Michaels Show.
Stopped this morning as we rolled in to Eau Claire, Wisconsin, and stopped off at Quick Trip. Filled up there last night. They are the official fuel provider to the Big Unit Cruiser and our friends from the RV company at Cunis RV. So stopped in there this morning and got everything ready for the program today. Love Quick Trip, but don't forget they still have the Mountain Dew and the Mountain Dew products that are out there. You can win some cash and prizes still as summer remains. But all you got to do is go to use your Quick Rewards card. Use that Quick Rewards card at Quick Trip, and you're good to go. They got a lot of good stuff going on. Official sponsor of the Green Bay Packers as well and such, and they have all your tailgate supplies. So many, many, many good things with our friends over there at Quick Trip. All right, so for those of you that are so hell-bent, first of all, I find it ironically funny and hypocritical when Jordan Love will have a good game or Custon Hero will put a good week together, and all of a sudden you're out of the woodwork going, I told you so. You can't be that stupid. Seriously. Okay? 1 game, 1 week, 1 month does not a career make. Secondly, Jordan Love, yes, he was drafted and he had COVID, protocols and things to go through, and it was a tough first year, but so was Joe Burrow. Okay? So was Justin Herbert. They had to develop under the same set of circumstances. Hell, Jalen Hurts had to as well, and he was a second-round draft choice. Nobody traded up. So this whole thing about, well, he's set back, and all of a sudden you're making it, it's excuses. It's esteeming. He had a good game. I don't know what you want me to say. He had a good game. But, as far as do I believe in Jordan Love? Not yet. 1 game does not a career make, and 1 game does not make consistency. And then with the Keston Hura stuff, Gary over there saying, you got to eat your words. We're going to talk about that when we come back. Because I'm going to give you some numbers, Gary, and where the hell were you a month ago? It wasn't until all of a sudden Keston Hura came back up, figured a few things out, and started to get hot all over again, that you suddenly come out of the woodwork and say Keston Hura is the way to go. Because if you look at his numbers, lefties versus righties, you're only going to play him against a right-hander at home because that's the number that actually stands out. Other than that, he's a relatively average to below average hitter. So I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Let's get back into that when we come back. Got a lot more to get to. 2 hours down, 2 hours yet to go. Broadcasting live at Wild Ridge Golf Course here in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Packers are back on the field for practice today. That included tackle David Bakhtiari. He was activated off the physically unable to perform list yesterday in practice for the first time. He played in just one game last year after tearing his ACL in late 2020. Complications led to a total of 3 procedures on the knee. As expected, just happy to be back out there.
There's a certain at peace being out there with the guys, putting pads on. I didn't realize how much I loved the game until it was tried to be taken away from me, and I was like, nope, not going to happen. So it's nice to just begin that first step on my journey to be back out there.
Bakhtiari was asked when he'll know he's officially back and ready to play at an all-pro level once again.
I'd say probably playing the game. This is another step in the right direction. I don't want to get too ahead of myself. So right now, I'm pleased with where I'm at, and I'm excited to see what tomorrow brings me.
The Packers will close out the preseason on Thursday in Kansas City. It remains up in the air whether or not most of the team's starters will play in the game. Most of the veterans have not even suited up for the first 2. Coach Matt LaFleur said at a minimum they will dress for the game. Turning to the Badgers, they closed fall camp yesterday with a practice open to the public. About 3,500 fans showed up. We'll be opening the season September 3rd against Illinois State.
Want to save even more at Fleet Farm? Well, now you can with Fleet Rewards. It's free to sign up, and there's no credit card required. Using Fleet Rewards is easy. Earn points every time you shop. Plus, get exclusive member offers, birthday and anniversary perks, free tire rotations, and more. Download the Fleet Farm app or create an account at fleetfarm.com/rewards to start earning points today. Fleet Farm, proudly serving the Midwest since 1955.
Well, the Brewers are in California. It's where they're going to open up a series against the Dodgers tonight. Milwaukee split their series with L.A. last week. They enter sitting a game and a half back Philadelphia for a wild card spot. First pitch is at 9:10. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
Welcome back to the program. Glad you're with us. Now, this hour of the program, by the way, brought to you by our friends at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. 10 years, 2.99% Pella Windows and Doors can go into your home. Coming up here in just a few weeks, I finally get to the final door of my entire house is going to be replaced. So all my windows and doors will now officially be completely done. And if you, we're going to actually, I think they're going to shoot a television commercial in the house of this. So look for that to be coming your way at some point in October, my assumption would be. But I'm looking forward to it because I when it comes to sponsors, I put my money where my mouth is. And Pella Windows and Doors are fantastic. And they make your house more economical. They make it more valuable. Every one of those windows and doors in the home operates smoothly. I can do a video walking, not that you want to see every one of my windows, but they operate smoothly. They're a pleasure to open. They're a pleasure to close. They lock, no problem. I mean, they're all perfect, and they have been for years. So I cannot wait to get this final door replaced to completely seal up the great room now. And come wintertime, it's like, bring it on, man. Bring it on. I'm good. I hate to say winter because it sucks, but to the point where you say bring it on. Go to PellaWI.com. You can get 10 years, 2.99% locked-in financing. 10 years, 2.99%. Go to PellaWI.com. That's P-E-L-L-A, or call them 855-PELLA-WI. That's 855-PELLA-WI. Okay, here you go. So earlier today, I came in today, like many of you, ready to talk Packers and Brewers. Brewers stunk over the weekend, losing 2 out of 3 to the Cubs. That game on Saturday was awful. And then it got into the discussion of what's good, what's bad, why did they blow it up, why did you get rid of Hader? We all know why. It's all because of money. So Rowdy, who is producing the program as we speak, on the morning show out at the Zone in Madison, I'm listening. And he starts to go point by point. This is the reason he's a Brewers fan. And then this is the reason he's not a Brewers fan. So sit back, and if you're a Brewers fan, listen to this, and then we'll discuss when it's done. Listen to what he had to say this morning. This is fantastic.
Our initially planned Rowdy's vacation days coming up tomorrow and Wednesday. He was going to take those days off because the Brewers are playing against the Dodgers 9-10 first pitch both nights. So Rowdy, wanted to work his vacation around the Milwaukee Brewers late games so he could catch them. Rowdy's no longer a Brewers fan, though. Now a Braves fan. He swore off his allegiances but he's still taking his vacation days, and rightfully so. Will you be watching the Brewers, though, Rowdy?
No, and I did not watch 1 second of the Brewers game on Sunday.
Keston Hiura homered twice.
I did tune in on Friday. I did tune in on Saturday, and I've seen all I needed to see. And I am just officially mentally exhausted, mentally fatigued with the Milwaukee Brewers, with their owner, with their front office, with their manager, and with their players.
You're done. All of it. Done.
I'm
D-U-N.
I'm tired of it. And I want to say, I kind of want to mention why.
Sure.
Like, how have I gotten to this point?
Let's hear it.
Ebo, would you say that out of pretty much everyone you know, I'm one of the biggest Brewer fans that you've ever met?
Well,
follow the Brewers closer than pretty much everyone you know.
I would say yes, but you've given up your allegiances. Like, you're done. But yes.
Pre-Saturday.
If I were to say, like, you've seen the movie Rain Man or maybe Russell Crowe with A Beautiful Mind, I'd say you go Rain Man on the Milwaukee Brewers, or you're a beautiful mind like Russell Crowe on the Milwaukee Brewers.
If you go back
borderline autistic sometimes
to 2017 and you think about where the Brewers came from in 2016, 2017, they started making those trades, kind of unloading house with the Gomez's of the world, the Mike Fires, kind of some of the players that had any type of potential they were starting to get rid of because they were going through that rebuild.
Yeah.
They brought on guys like the Travis Shaws of the world in 2017 that showed at moments that maybe he could be a full-time player and gave him an opportunity. They had the Orlando Arcias of the world that was a top 100 prospect that had a lot of potential. And they threw this, at the time, seen as a ragtag team out there in 2017.
Yes.
They ended up being pretty competitive, having a decent season, narrowly missing the playoffs.
Just missing.
They drafted that summer a guy named Keston Hiura.
Daddy, baby.
Who I absolutely loved and thought it was a great pick as a flyer.
Jury's in. Keston can hit.
Then you turn the page to 2018 before the season starts. They acquired Christian Yelich that I was very high on. Thought that
you're one of the first guys to have his jersey.
At the time, with what he was doing towards the end of his time in Miami and then coming into Miller Park at the time as a left-handed hitter that was continuing to mature, thought that he could go from a borderline all-star to a perennial all-star.
Yeah.
Then they signed Lorenzo Cain, a guy that I absolutely loved when he was a young Brewer, when he was up in September's for the call-ups and thought he was going to be a great player, only to be traded.
Yep. I remember all this.
Remember in 2018 when I said, give Jolise Chassin the benefit of the doubt, give Wade Miley the benefit of the doubt. Those guys are going to actually be decent for the Brewers.
I do.
Because everyone was throwing them in the trash.
Yep, falling off the cliff over. He said, hang on.
Ever since 2018, I love Corbin Burns. When everyone threw him in the trash in 2019, I said, don't do that so soon. This guy's got a ton of talent.
I remember.
Like, I've been through all of their stuff. And then at the same time, that window opened for the Milwaukee Brewers in 2018, where all of a sudden they made some of those moves. Some of those guys started to pan out. And next thing you know, you're in game 7 of the NLCS against the Dodgers. I think the window opened before David Stearns and the Brewers really thought it would. But all of a sudden, here we are. Mm-hmm. The window's open. But now when you look at it contractually, roster-wise, that window ends in 2024. And
with all your big guns.
And that's if you let all of those players basically walk.
Yeah.
And we know that being a small market team, you're not one that can let all of those players walk. You can't just let Woodruff all of a sudden walk to free agency and not be able to sign him. You have to trade him away. And if you look at it that way and say, we need to get something for these players, you know that 2024 isn't the year that ends your window. You got to do it a year before if you want to get something for them.
Yeah.
So that leaves us at 2023. And now we're in 2022 with a team that was expected to win 90 games this year, win the Central. And yeah, have they had some bad luck? Sure. They've had guys not necessarily play up to the back of their baseball cards. Have they had injuries? Yeah, we talked about how 4 of their top 6 pitchers have been down. But I can't get past the fact that when you look at the timeline that they're on, the window that they have, being a guy that's followed so closely, saying, stick with this guy. Or how about even go back one further? Remember when all the fans were clamoring for Josh Hader to become a starting pitcher? And I was like one of the only people on these airwaves, I was like, you'd be stupid
I would say
to move him out of a relief role.
The only guy you never stuck with was Ryan Braun.
And that was because he threw you in the trash. Remember when everyone was saying...
I remember. I mean, my member berries, Rowdy. Yes, I remember.
Josh Hader, need to make him a starter. And I literally said in 2017 summer, you just watch. Brandon Woodruff's going to be a way better starter than Josh Hader ever would be.
I remember.
He's probably going to be a 2 in their rotation sometime. I might have been low on Woodruff. He's probably a 1.
Yeah. I remember all
but
of this.
No one ever mentioned any of that. I follow this all the time to a T, from the minor leagues, everything from basically 17 when I started working here. Like, don't get me wrong, Ebo, I was following it before them.
Oh, yeah.
But where you actually have a voice to say, hey, this is what they're doing. Hey, chill out. This is guys going to progress. And you've seen it all the way through, and you've sat there and stuck up for guys that ended up being good or that you've seen flashes from.
And what did the organization do to you,
But you see now that all of a sudden when they're in first place by 3 to 4 games, they're approaching the trade deadline, they trade away their all-star closer. They don't go out and acquire a bat. They didn't do anything but essentially sell and punt on a season in which you're coming up to the end of this window and running out of time until you're going to have to go back, rebuild, and be a crappy team again. But you actually never, ever went all in.
Never.
How am I supposed to root for that? How am I supposed to get up to go watch a game? You literally didn't see it through.
You always kind of just dangled the carrot in front of the fan base. You kept dangling.
To be completely honest, it annoys the crap out of me when I finally, since 2019, have been this is just an example, have been calling for guys like Keston Hiura to get full playing time, to get full at bats, to finally see this through and to give them a shot at producing. And since 2019, the organization hasn't given him the real true opportunity of a full season to do that.
Nope.
But yet they continue to throw out guys like Christian Yelich that struggle at catching shallow pop-ups and then throwing it in. They continue to go with the guy that it doesn't make any sense. But the thing that angers me the most is then you have, these pundits, these, we'll say, statewide pundits or beat writers that finally start pointing out that Keston Hiura should maybe getting it bats every day.
You've been pointing that out for years, Robs.
Or maybe there is something about his reverse splits. I've been screaming about this for multiple years, and now people start to glob on that it's been correct. I've been here for years. And it's just annoying that you now saw them come towards the end of this window and they literally spit in your face. And then when counsel asks questions about it, he literally still won't talk about playing or giving Keston Hiura full playing time or that they're looking into things. Your team sucks. What are you looking into? Your center field sucks. Christian Yelich sucks. What more is there to look into?
Rowdy,
what more do you want?
Maybe I'm jaded and has just come to the realization of a Brewers fan that they're never going to win a World Series. And this, is it bothersome and troublesome? Yes. This was eventually and inevitably going to happen anyways for the Milwaukee Brewers.
There's nothing more to look into. It's the end of this window. You didn't go all in. You punted before going all in. This is why I have things. You know what? I throw my hat in the ring to be the next GM, Ebo. And you know what my top 5 things would do?
You're a Braves fan now. Yeah, what's your top 5? Yeah.
One, if I was to become the Brewers GM tomorrow, I move Christian Yelich any way possible. And if I can't come up with a trade partner, I literally consider, just for my own pride and so I don't have to watch it. How bad do you have to be before someone says, I can't even watch this anymore, and just straight up cut them? I know that's insane, but man, at what point, how bad do you have to watch someone play before you go, I can't even watch this anymore? I can't even deal with this. Eat the money.
I don't have.
Sorry, Mark. You just got a stake in some Northwich or whatever the hell soccer team.
Norwich City FC.
You're going to make plenty of money. Just can we eat this so I don't have to watch this pitiful stuff?
R.I.P. to the hopes and dreams of Norwich City fans. Mark Adanasio is now your football director.
Move on from him any way possible. Number 2, buy out Colton Wong because he has looked disinterested like the rest of the team this entire year. You have a guy that's a Gold Glove winner and he can't even consistently field ground balls and make plays that he makes in his sleep, I'd pay him the rest of his salary right now for this season and the $2 million buyout on his freaking desk in his locker room, in his locker right now to tell him to go away.
You tell him bye?
And I don't need you for the rest of the year.
Bye.
Number 3, I would just, we don't need to prolong the inevitable. Trade David Stearns to the Mets. Get something back for him.
Can you trade
just
yourself?
Like he's a player.
Can you trade yourself?
Matt Arnold's going to write off on
It's
him.
inevitable that he goes to the Mets. So might as well get some for him right now.
Get
By
something
the way,
for him.
he can get out of his contract a year early if the Brewers make the World Series. Brewers aren't even making the playoffs.
Number 4, fire or trade Craig Counsell.
The Angry Rooster?
Seriously.
The Brewers legend?
If you can't, I'm sure you could trade him. It's just like the GM. It's just like the John Gruden trade. I'm sure with how they talk about Craig Counsell, I'm sure a lot of teams would love to have him. How long are you going to let this experiment go with these Brewers rosters being good, with Craig Counsell being there, until you say, we can't win with this team, we can't win with this manager, we need to start something
They're in
new?
the golden age of Milwaukee Brewers baseball.
You're in the golden age of losing.
That's what we've been told. We're in the golden age.
Fire or trade Craig Counsell.
And number 5?
This is the only positive thing. Pick up Brad Boxberger's $3 million option.
So there you go. Got to end on a positive. Boxberger, you're sticking around.
For $3 million, that's a hell of a deal for next year. But I'm serious, though.
I know you are.
I'm getting tired of, we need to figure something out. You need to change something. Stearns is going to walk. Might as well trade him. You got a decent amount of your top 8 or 9 guys in the farm system are decent. Maybe add a few more to that. Get rid. I want someone that's got some balls, not someone that just sits there and takes order from Ananasio. Someone that tells Ananasio, go sit in the effing corner and be an owner and shut up. You don't have anything to do with this.
You want someone with some balls, huh? You want Caitlyn Jenner to come in and be GM? Now, Rounds, let me ask you. This next 2 vacation days you come up tonight and tomorrow.
How long are we going to let Craig Counsell be the manager? Does he get a lifetime pass? He's only 52. Heard about that all the time.
His birthday. It was his birthday yesterday. He got a win on his birthday.
What, do we have to watch him manage the Brewers for 20 more years? How many World Series?
Well, it'd be the golden age then. 20 years, the golden age of Brewers baseball.
If we're going to do it, let's freaking do it. You want to get nutsy? Well, let's get nuts. I don't want anyone. You traded away Hader. Yelich is locked up, and my God, has he locked the team up, handcuffed them. There's only one player on this roster that I would extend. His name is Corbin Burns. Everyone else can get lost.
Well, Brad Boxberger, though, we can pick up the option.
Well, yeah, it's the 1-year option. But what I'm saying is when their contracts come to an end, you're not looking to re-sign them.
All right.
Why not completely strip it down?
Rowdy, are you going to be scribbling in your manifesto these next 2 vacation days, tomorrow and Wednesday?
No,
Is that manifesto just going to get bigger and bigger?
I have these next 2 days off. I will not be tuning in. Like I said, I would bet on the Dodgers tonight. Not an official pick, but I would bet on the Dodgers. Also, when I come back, so I told you this is the last full week of baseball picks, but what I'm getting at is we're going as a friend group. Fuller lost a bet to me. I will not be spending money at American Family Field. Fuller will be buying my drinks.
Does he know that?
Well, he lost the bet, so this is actually an easy out for him.
There you go. All right, did it get off the chest?
Kind of.
Final segment.
So there you go. That is from earlier today. That was on the morning show, and I thought it was fantastic because a lot of what he said there is absolutely true. Some of the stuff I will kind of take a little umbrage with, but a lot of it is true after watching the Brewers this weekend. Now, I have always said when it comes to Major League Baseball, you don't necessarily overreact or underreact to certain situations because it's such a marathon. But this past weekend, I thought, I was feeling a lot of that. So we're going to talk about it when we come back. Hang in there, broadcasting live here in Eau Claire, Wisconsin at Wild Ridge Golf Course, which is, what you're seeing on the Bud Light live stream right now. But I want to get back into this. Rowdy is going to join us live and in person next on the Bill Michaels Show.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Catch all the racing action at Road America. Camping and corporate events available as well. Go to roadamerica.com for all the information. Road America, America's national park of speed.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Glad to have you. Hey, our friends at Forgotten Fire Winery, not snobby, snooty, pretentious, a Midwestern group of people that have charm at its finest. They've won awards, but while it's great, you can pound your chest on that. They don't care. They just want you to kind of enjoy wine and everything up in Peshtigo. That's what it's all about. Fun in a bottle. Without any attitude, you can find their full wine and cider lineup in the tasting room if you stop by, and get the Bill Michaels deal if you stop by in Peshtigo. Otherwise, grocery stores, liquor stores, wine stores, all throughout the state. The winery, it's a great place to get away. You got wines and cider tastings. They had a tap takeover this past weekend, live music, private events, bachelor parties, bachelorette parties. Anytime, it's a great time for Forgotten Fire Wines and Ciders. Wisconsin wine made from Wisconsin people. Go to ForgottenFireWinery.com. That is ForgottenFireWinery.com up in Peshtigo. Great people, great place. There you have it. Rowdy, how you doing?
Bill, I still don't feel great. I feel like I could have yelled for 4 hours.
Okay.
If you think I sounded bad then, you should have saw me in my living room on Saturday.
Oh, yeah? Well, I can imagine. Because Saturday there was a bunch of us that just could not believe that they ended up losing that game after looking at our phones, if you will, going into the 8th and 9th inning, and then looking at it at the end of the night, just going, what the hell? It was.
Oh, I watched it.
Yeah, it was mind-numbing. And it's kind of become the microcosm for what's gone on since the Hader trade. Would you not say that's true?
Well, the team's been absolute trash since that trade. And it's not even the fact that Josh Hader hasn't looked that good outside of a couple outings with the Padres. It's just the demeanor of the team. You showed the team that you punted on the season, and they've played like it.
The argument now, first of all, I completely agree. And I've said this before, that when he gives you 2 or 3 weeks that look great and then goes back into the shell, Christian Yelich, at what point? I mean, you're basically running him out there for the money. You got rid of Josh Hader for the money. And there's things that are hindering this team because of money. And I think we can all agree upon that. The other question I have, because my argument's always been they needed a bat, they didn't need extra arms, they made a bad move based on the dollar. Was there another bat out there that you thought this team should have, would have, could have gotten and did not?
Well, I think, there are the names that we hear that are floated out. We always know following the Brewers that kind of out of nowhere, David Stearns would pull a name. You're like, man, I didn't even think that guy would be available.
Right.
But like you had the guys on the surface, like the Brian Reynolds of the world. He was a big name that was out there. Brandon Drury ended up going to the Padres. Obviously, Juan Soto was everyone's huge dream. But there were some outfield names, like Andrew Benintendi went to the Yankees. Anyone that was on that list upgrades this team. Anyone. And that's the thing that I can't wrap my head around.
Right.
It's like you get this window. Yes, all we care about as Milwaukee Brewer fans is being relevant for the time that we can be. And right now you're in that window where you can be relevant. We saw you go all in and acquire Mike Moustakas. We saw you make a few moves in 2019 to try and shore up that team. All we're asking for is a little bit. You could have humored us. You could have added a bat, maybe 2, and, say you still fall short. Next season, say you do the same thing, but you fall short. And it's the end of the window, and you got to, rebuild it and break it all. But at least you humored us, and you showed us that you tried to go all in. Instead, you spit in our face and said, but we still expect you to come out to the ball game. We still expect you to buy the beer. We still expect you to be the fan. But you couldn't even go all in when you were telling us that's what you were trying to do.
Didn't you feel like that press conference of Mark Attanasio that he had after the trade went down, he kind of threw David Stearns under the bus?
100%. This is a guy that says, well, I don't like to get into the baseball deal. I had nothing to do with this. I didn't know anything about it. I was in shock. But then at the same time, it's the same dude talking out of the other end of his mouth earlier in the season, how about when they saw that Andrew McCutchen was a free agent, he went right to David and said, this is a free agent that I want and that I'll pay for.
Right.
So I guess for McCutchen, he has some say in free agents and in trades and stuff. But when it comes to the Josh Hader thing, don't look at him.
So first of all, I completely agree with you. Now, I'm getting the Gary and company over on the live stream and such that are saying, I told you about Keston here, which I find funny because nobody says anything until all of a sudden he starts hitting the ball, and then all of a sudden everybody wants to point the finger and say, I told you so. His splits this year are good. I can't complain because if you put him in a position to be successful, when you look at his splits, he's hitting 308 against righties, an OPS of 1.086. You play him against lefties, he's 176. He's nothing. He doesn't do much. But defensively, he can give you a little bit more. But if you look at his splits, go back a few years, it's just the opposite. 2 years ago, he was better against lefties and worse against righties, which is unfathomable because usually a guy just hits better against a particular side of the plate. He's been all over, but you go back to 2020 and he was better against lefties than he was righty. Last year, he was awful against lefties, a little better against righties because last year he only hit 185 against righties and 130 against lefties, and he had over 100 at-bats against righties. So it's been better in that area. But all of a sudden this year he starts to hit righties and everybody says, I told you so. What the hell?
So when I was an intern here at Zone Madison in 2017, I wrote an article about Keston here when they drafted him that June.
Mm-hmm.
Love the pick.
Mm-hmm.
You don't go all in on picks,
right,
every single year saying, oh, I love this guy, especially in baseball. They at one time they had 40 rounds and majority of them are failures. They never amount to anything, right? That's just how baseball is.
Right.
That was one guy I stuck my head on, even when I was an intern and I wrote the article. Keston Hiura was my guy. They haven't done anything for this kid since basically he surfaced in the big leagues. If you remember, he was tearing it up instantly, ran through the minor leagues in less than a year and a half. Mm-hmm. And then in 2019 is just tearing the cover off the baseball. But then you got to play mind games with them and bring up Travis Shaw with a phantom injury. And then you send him back down only to bring him back up and he continues to rake. But you're playing this little, back and forth game with Travis Shaw. 2020, weird season for everybody, right?
Right.
COVID, it was the stop and start 60-game season. He was asked out of basically half of a year of success at the big league level to be your second best hitter behind Yelich.
Right.
Not only did he fail, but Yelich failed. He actually played better than Yelich and he was still productive.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go to 2021. You ask a guy that is truly an outfielder by trade. You already asked him to play second base. It wasn't that great of a result. Now you ask him to change positions again to first base. The dude is 5'9", 5'10", playing first base.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me the last time you saw a consistent first baseman that's 5'9", 5'10".
No, I agree.
And for the shorter guys out there, I'm not coming at you because I'm one of you. Like, that's just not his position. He's always was profiled as a corner outfielder. And now in 2021, you move him to first base. You see what you can do. But the thing is, his mom had breast cancer. They finally figured out that he had holes in his swing. But right now, with where he's at, if you gave him 600 bats in the season, he probably played all right defense. It's not like he's going to be any worse than what you see Christian Yelich or Chris Davis or some of the clowns that you let play out there before. You know he's going to get hits. You know he's going to hit home runs.
And let me go back to Yelich for a second. I have seen Yelich throw the ball a couple of times now, and I think to myself, Gumby has a better shot at throwing a ball to the infield on a one-hop strike than Christian Yelich does. It's almost to the point like whatever happened to him internally, he's been emaciated. He just it's like almost embarrassing to watch as a professional ball player.
I sent out a tweet on Saturday after what all entailed with that game, and I said Christian Yelich is a dime a dozen in the Wisconsin Home Talent League defensively.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is factual. I would be shocked if you got a radar gun out on Christian Yelich from the outfield and he hit above 80.
If you went right now to any one of these Northwood Leagues teams, in the state of Wisconsin in the Northwoods League, you could find 10 guys that are better left fielders than he is.
Oh, defensively, easily. As in just the ground that they cover and the arm that they have, easily.
Completely agree with that. So right now, as you said, this team is not gone all in, and they faltered away from where they should be. So if you already said that do you believe that David Stearns is out the door? He's on his way to New York.
I think so. I mean, it just makes too much sense, right? Steve Cohen, the Mets owner, will do anything to win. He's shown that he's going to spend a ton of money. He's going to do what it takes to win. He wants to have a winner in New York with the Mets. David Stearns grew up a Mets fan, has talked about going back or potentially working for the Mets or how it's potentially a dream job. It just makes too much sense.
Right. So Matt Arnold then would become the de facto general manager of this team. What do they need? Because I look at it as, and I'm with you, because to me they chose, okay, we've got starting pitchers that we value that we're eventually going to have to pay, over a closer who could be a generational closer. We don't know. We don't know what Josh Hader's going to end up becoming. But they got rid of the guy they just didn't want to pay. They couldn't foresee paying an extra $4, $5, $6 million a year to get him up around $17, $18, $19 million a year as a closer. So that money they cannot justify as a small market team. So what in your mind then portrays them as going, quote, all in? What do they got to do this offseason?
Well, I think if we started at the trade deadline, it would have been to add a bat or two. Now you look at the roster as is, you got to figure out what you're doing in the outfield. Hunter Renfroe's back. Yelich is back. Well, what the hell are you bringing back in center field? McCutchen's gone. Tyrone Taylor and any of those type of players could be gone at any time. You got to look to see what you got in the minor leagues. And you do have 4 big prospects in the outfield, but are any of them actually ready to play big league baseball at a high level next year? We'll see. You actually have to go get some bats. You got to figure out something. Bryce Terang's probably a guy you bring up at second or third base. You have to improve your bats. The catching position needs to be improved. The outfield, center field majority needs, you continue to get what you have in the pitching, but you definitely have to add 2 bats.
Yeah. I think Would you go after an everyday first baseman?
See, I think Rowdy Tellez has done admirably
for the
what
money. He's done great
for what he's being paid, for what he's asked to do. I think, if anything, how Craig Counsell and these Milwaukee Brewers front office has used Rowdy Tellez, it's actually been a disservice to him, because you can see the numbers. Yeah, he's been roughly pretty average when you look at his splits, the same against righties and lefties. He just doesn't have as much pop against lefties. Like you said, Hero's been the one that has been dog trash against lefties. Why does every time you play Hero at first base happens to be a lefty?
Right.
Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the other thing with like the Hero. I'm not saying Hero's going to be some big time all-star, that all of a sudden he's going to be a 10-time all-star. I'm saying if you gave him 600 at bats, you played him in the corner outfield, you made him a DH. This is a guy that's going to tear up pitching, and when he gets hot, he can carry a team. He might only hit 250. I think his projected numbers for me would probably be like 250, 25 to 30 home runs, 75 to 95 RBIs, depending on the lineup he plays in. And we know there's holes in the swings. We know he's going to strike out, but we also know he's going to be productive. And I'm not calling for him to be some great all-star, but I'm saying when you get a kid like that, that's got that pop with that type of talent, when he does get hot, maybe he can find that 300 average again, but you got to give him consistent at-bats, and they've set him up to do nothing but fail.
Let's do this. We're going to step away, take a quick break. If you got any comments regarding the Brewers, by all means, bring it. 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, we'll continue with the discussion when we come back right after this on The Bill Michaels Show.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
I give that a 2.99. Okay. Hey, Dad.
What's wrong?
That woman over there. Don't look.
What did she do?
She judged my dive. Gave it a 2.99. Isn't that weird?
Hey, that's Gina Della from Pella. I'm going to find out what this is all about. Excuse me. Why are you judging my daughter's diving? I know who you are.
I'm sorry? Judging?
Yeah, she said you yelled out.
Oh, no, I wasn't talking about her. I was finalizing this month's special at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. That's funny.
What's special?
Pay only 2.99% interest for 10 years.
On new Pella windows. Really? 10 years?
Yep.
But it's the middle of summer. You can't get a deal on installing new windows during the warmest season.
You can at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
Oh, 2.99.
Dad?
Oh, not you, sweetheart. The deal at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. 2.99% for 10 years.
Visit PellaWI.com.
Are you a gold breaker? Play your favorite games at Potawatomi Sunday afternoons now through September, and you could win your share of $1 million in prizes. Break the code, win the $10,000 top jackpot, and everyone playing slots also wins a prize. Anyone can win on any machine again and again. Do you have the golden touch? Gold Breaker, only at Potawatomi. Visit paysbig.com/goldbreaker for more. Must be 21 years old and a club member to play.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Bill Michaels Show. Now, I do want to say one thing because Ash says, I've been saying Hira needed to be given regular everyday at-bats since last season and going on and on. If you take away the 2019 season, if you go from then until today, he's 111 for 536 and a 207 batting average. I mean, that's the compilation. So in almost 550 at-bats, it's a 207 batting average. He's not always put in the best position to have success. I agree with that. Okay. But that's a pretty large litmus test when you're talking about almost the equivalent of 550 at bats. It is what it is. He's had his struggles. He comes up. He doesn't do much. He goes back down. Now, maybe just putting him in there every day saying, here's your consistency, because he goes down and rakes in the minors. And to the point where I've even said earlier this season that I thought Keston Hira would end up being a career minor league hitter, because he just hasn't been able to put it together consistently in the majors. You go back through his splits years ago, he was better against lefties than righties. This year, he's better against righties than lefties. So hopefully things begin to click and he finds himself getting more and more at-bats and more playing time. And I agree with Rowdy's sentiment that you can't say anymore, well, we need to look at this. Well, what the hell is there to look at? You've got guys in this team that just aren't cutting it. You're only playing them because of money. That's obvious. And then you go and tell the fans we're trying to win. My ass you are. You're not trying to win. You're playing money. You're playing money ball right now. And you give more damns about the dollar than you do about the W's just by the guys that are actually on the field. And that probably comes from the top, higher. And I know there's some veteran respect and such, as Craig Counsell, being a former player and not that far removed from a clubhouse in that sense, gets it. But I agree. They're playing Moneyball right now, and it's not always the best thing to watch. And as a matter of fact, it's going to piss you off more often than not. So going back to that, Rowdy, before we go to break again, because we're woefully late, but go back to that. You were even talking about it's time to just kind of clean house. Not necessarily a full-blown rebuild, but if you're going to do everything, David Stearns is going to New York, Mark Antanasio, get the hell out of the player personnel decisions, and then you take Craig Counsell out as well?
See, this is the thing that I hate more than anything, Bill. It's the people that will tell you they have a solution and that you're an idiot and you're dumb and you don't know anything and this has to be changed. But they have the idea to change it, but they don't actually have the backup plan.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like anyone can yell and scream, fire Craig Counsell, fire Craig Counsell. We need to get him out of here. Same thing with Mike McCarthy. But then you have to answer, well, who are you going to hire? That's the one thing. If I'm going to yell that, I have to have a plan on deck, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't just scream fire, 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 because then you're the cheesehead. Then you're the crazy Milwaukee Brewer buckethead.
Right.
Like whatever. Well, when I look at it, again, trade away David Stearns, we're prolonging the inevitable of him going to the Mets, maybe add a couple of legit prospects to your farm system. That's right now kind of top heavy. And then I went down the list and I got to maybe trade or fire Craig Counsell. And the reason why I got to trade is because I think a lot of people in Major League Baseball, especially with how they talk, they covet Craig Counsell to a pretty high level, right?
Yeah. I think there's a lot of people that really feel good about Craig Counsell. Absolutely.
So the reason why I would trade him then is because he's still under contract. Clearly, he's not going anywhere. So you could probably get something for him, just like David Stearns. It's almost like the John Gruden type trade in the NFL. But my reasoning for doing so is it just time for a new voice? Craig Counsell's very laid back. And I think one of the things that also get rid of him now is his quote unquote top dollar. The Major League Baseball rules have changed to affect people like the Milwaukee Brewers and Craig Counsell. There is no longer, you have to have pitchers in there for 3 batters. You can't go righty, lefty after 1 batter anymore. There is universal DH, so it takes away from a lot of strategy of the game. 2 things in which Craig Counsell was very good at, but they're making it more and more like a drunk baby flipping quarters, or the monkey in the corner or the puppet could do the manager's job. Here's the numbers. The numbers say this. Now do it. That is a puppet. That is a monkey. That is a drunk baby flipping quarters, deciding on what to do.
I think
anyone can do it.
Where he has excelled has been at managing the pitching staff when they didn't have dominant pitchers for a long period of time, and they've been able to do it via numbers. I know they got too cute at times. I agree with that, but I think that's probably the majority of a manager's job when you talk about the manipulation of the numbers and the metrics against matchups as to what they've been able to accomplish. Would you not agree?
I would say to a point, but I really do think the Brewers, if you go back and look at this, they stole a lot of that from the Tampa Bay Rays. And the Rays were kind of the first team to go with this, the opener, and we're doing this versus this. And you could even say to a degree that
go back to the Astros and what they were doing with the sabermetrics. I mean, that's how Altuve found his way into the majors.
And you could even go and say, well, the Rays and the Astros, they actually stole it from Tony La Russa, the first guy to really start going righty, lefty. And it's just an evolution, right? It started with La Russa doing that stuff, and then it moves into complete sabermetric numbers, into the Rays doing complete bullpen opener games, whatever. We could argue semantics on and on. Well, the reason I'm saying, get rid of Counsell is a lot of his things where I think he actually did have an edge are now taken away from him. Yet a lot of these people still highly covet him as a manager. So I'm thinking you could actually get something back, and it's not like you're losing a ton. And my backup plan is the fact that I would go and then I would hire Donnie baseball. Give me Don Mattingly. I love him. I've watched a lot of baseball. I think he is right there with Craig Counsell as being a really good in-game manager, and he's got a little bit of that old school versus a little bit of the numbers in new school. He's like an older version of Craig Counsell, but I think he's one guy that doesn't take the crap like Craig Counsell. How many times have we looked at Craig Counsell all disheveled and wanting to say something, but he knows he can't, and then it's just I don't know, I'll look into it, or we didn't play very well.
Right.
At least I know with Don Mattingly, he's going to tell your ass to get in that corner and shut the F up, like an old school player that he was. And I think there's a little bit of that needs to be said in this team with this game. You know what, Ananasio, sit in the corner, shut the F up. You know what, GM, you get me the players, you shut up, I'll manage them on the field. And I'm just going to put it this way. There was the captain, the documentary on Derek Jeter's out, right?
Right.
You saw, if you've been watching that, Buck Showalter, everyone thinks he's a great mind. He's kind of more of the laid-back, quiet guy, great baseball mind. They needed a change. They had to change to Joe Torre, and then they started winning a ton of championships. Dwayne Casey with the Raptors was coach of the year, took them, to the Eastern Conference Finals, had to get over the hump. They hired Nick Nurse. They won a championship.
They took, when you look at Buck Showalter, he kind of came off as the fatherly type, but wasn't nearly as into it. Is that the best way to put it? I that was the way I took it anyway. That when they finally went to Joe Torre came in with a command of respect, with a lot of knowledge and a presentation and a personality that was able to dictate what that clubhouse was going to be.
I honestly think it would be very similar to go from Craig Counsell to Don Mattingly with this same exact example with Buck Showalter and Joe Torre.
Let's do this. Really late for a break. Good stuff. Let's hang in there. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, a training camp update. In Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers held practice on the Ray Nitschke Field. Head coach Matt LaFleur announced that after 20 months and 3 knee surgeries, David Bakhtiari has finally been cleared to practice.
So Dave's coming off PUP today. He'll be out there at practice. He's only going to do individual. So you guys can just temper the expectations, because I know there's going to be a bunch of questions now. It'll just be individual. It's just the next step. But we are excited to get him out there on the grass, and we'll take it one day at a time.
The All-Pro tackle told reporters a number of factors led to a meeting over the weekend with GM Brian Gutekunst.
It's a mix between where we at in the rehab, where we at on their end. And I think they cleared some stuff up. We were in a certain situation. It just kind of aligned where it's okay, this is the next step collectively with us together moving forward, with me being a part of this team. So me and Goody had a conversation. I'm like, great.
The Packers have a short week. They fly to Kansas City to face the Chiefs this Thursday night. Green Bay now with a 1-1 record in the preseason after beating the Saints 20-10 here at Lambeau Field. New Orleans struggled, giving up an interception, a fumble, and flagged by the refs 9 times. They're now 0-2. Saints head coach Dennis Allen.
Disappointed in the loss. Too many penalties. Turn the ball over, and we let them run the ball on us. Doesn't matter whether it's a preseason game or, and you can't do that and expect to win.
That's the Saints' Dennis Allen. In Green Bay, I'm Mike Clemens on the Bill Michaels Show.
Welcome back. Glad to have you. The Bill Michaels Show. We are broadcasting live. We're at Wild Ridge Golf Course. We're here in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Coming up here in just a little bit, about an hour from now, the golf outing gets underway. And then afterwards, we have a dinner or cigar dinner tonight. And a little Q&A, some patio time. Going to be a lot of fun. It always is. And then back to Milwaukee tomorrow. I believe tomorrow. Otherwise, we might end up in Green Bay, depending on practice times. And then on Wednesday, it is our first huddle of the year. Thursday night, you got the Packers' final preseason game. And Friday, we're going to bring it all to you and kind of break it down and decipher it all over again. And then coming up 2 weeks from Sunday, it's the first Green and Gold postgame show. Myself, Mike Clemens, the whole staff back together again this year. And we'll bring you all the post-game coverage of the Green Bay Packers on the road. We will be live in Minneapolis, live at the Ewing Hotel, downtown Minneapolis. We cannot wait to get there. Looking forward to it. I was up there broadcasting live, I guess, about 4 months ago, as a matter of fact. But we're going to be coming to you live from Minneapolis for the first contest of the season. So that's a hell of a way to kick off the year. We've got huddles in the meantime. So a lot of great stuff going on and looking forward to over the next few weeks specifically. So good to be out and about here today. We're going to wrap up this hour, come back. We are going to kind of pick up where we left off. We'll talk some Brewers, talk some Packers. A lot of discussion going on Twitter as well. If you follow us over there at Bill_Michaels, Also some comments over here on the Bud Light live stream about both that I want to get to. Rowdy, are you done? Is Ebo in now, or are you taking off?
Ebo's still working on the log, so I'll be in here until he comes back.
Okay, we're going to even talk a little more Brewers with Rowdy, who was all fired up earlier today. Stay tuned. Another hour of the Bill Michaels Show live out here at Wild Ridge Golf Course. We are in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. This portion of the program brought to you by our good friends over there at Wabam. Go to Get Wabam, W-A-B-A-M, GetWabam.com. That's GetWabam.com. Cleaning products, supplies, ceramics for your car, your boat, your motorcycle, all kinds of good stuff at GetWabam.com. That is GetWabam.com. More of the Bill Michaels Show to come right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Packers are back on the field for practice today. That included tackle David Bakhtiari. He was activated off the physically unable to perform list yesterday in practice for the first time. He played in just one game last year after tearing his ACL in late 2020. Complications led to a total of 3 procedures on the knee. As expected, just happy to be back out there.
There's a certain at peace being out there with the guys, putting pads on, and realizing how much I love the game until it was tried to be taken away from me, and I was like, nope, not going to happen. So it's nice to just begin that first step on my journey to be back out there.
Bakhtiari was asked when he'll know he's officially back and ready to play at an all-pro level once again.
I'd say probably playing the game. This is another step in the right direction. I don't want to get too ahead of myself. So right now, I'm pleased with where I'm at, and I'm excited to see what tomorrow brings me.
The Packers will close out the preseason on Thursday in Kansas City. It remains up in the air whether or not most of the team's starters will play in the game. Most of the veterans have not even suited up for the first two. Coach Matt LaFleur said at a minimum they will dress for the game. Turning to the Badgers, they closed fall camp yesterday with a practice open to the public. About 3,500 fans showed up. Will be opening the season September 3rd against Illinois State.
Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
When a company only does business in Wisconsin, that's Wisconsin Strong. Rural Mutual provides all lines of insurance, including commercial, farm, home, and auto. And your premiums stay right here to keep Wisconsin strong. Local agents, local underwriters, local claims adjusters.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, the Brewers are in California. It's where they're going to open up a series against the Dodgers tonight. Milwaukee split their series with L.A. last week. They enter sitting a game and a half back Philadelphia for a wild card spot. First pitch is at 9:10. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, Zach Heil.
Welcome back, fourth hour of the program, and we're glad you're here broadcasting live in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. And again today, saying welcome back, our friends from WJJQ in the Northwoods, joining us on the network. So good to have you back on the air with us. For those up in the Tomahawk area, in the Northwoods area, just north of Wausau, thanks for being patient and coming back to us. We all figure good things come back around again, and so there you did, and glad to have you. So a couple of things to discuss. We're talking two different things on Twitter and on the Facebook fan page and on the Bud Light live stream and such, and people are going back and forth about different things, whether it's Keston Hira, Craig Counsell, Jordan Love, just so much arguing going on. It's hard to keep up with. So I want to go back to we had Rowdy Nelson on the air with us, and you heard his take last hour regarding the Milwaukee Brewers. So, Nelson, if you were going to put out a starting lineup with the roster that you have now, would you go Keston Hira in left, or would you? Cause there's no way at this point I would keep Christian Yelich playing the field because he just looks bad, right?
Unfortunately, Bill, out of all the bitching that I've done about Christian Yelich, he's still playing left field, and that hurts me to say. Yes, unfortunately.
I keep Hunter Renfroe in right. Who would you put in center?
Old Andrew McCutchen would be Roman center for me.
And I'd have Keston Hira in left. I would, I'd still go with Urias and Wong, Rowdy Tellez, Narvaez behind the plate. You can always piecemeal third if necessary. And then I would maybe have Christian Yelich as my DH, but I'd bat him 7th or 8th. I would not have him anywhere near the top of the lineup anymore.
See, if I was going around the horn, I would go with left field, Yelich, unfortunately. Center field, it's McCutchen. Right field, Renfroe. First base, Rowdy Tellez. Second base, Wong. Adames at short, Urias at third. Catcher really doesn't matter. And then DH is Keston Hira. Days that Yelich needs off, clearly Keston Hira slides into left field. The one thing that also just rubs me the wrong way this entire year is Colton Wong.
Colton Wong was so good when they picked him up and did so many things well. And then this season, it's just do you remember Casey McGee? When Casey McGee came into the Brewers organization, got kind of a second chance and played extremely well that one year.
The guy they thought was going to be their starting third baseman because they were having the hardest time finding a legit starting third baseman, and he had like a year and a half of a blip.
That's exactly right. And then Casey McGee, his offense went to crap. And then it got so stressful it affected his play in the field, and he became a liability. That's kind of what Colton Wong did this season. He struggled so bad at the plate that all of a sudden because he's been a Gold Glover. It's not like Casey McGee was a Gold Glover. Casey McGee was just another player who started to strike it rich, got a little bit of money, and then ended up faltering in the end. And the offensive side affected his defensive side so badly that you just had to say, okay, we got to let you go. Colton Wong has been a Gold Glover. Where the glove is gone is almost mind-boggling, right?
Well, it's like I don't even think his head is in the game. Like when you just see him out there some of the times, it just looks like he's disinterested.
Right.
And I don't know why he would have been from basically the start. Like he was a guy that committed, I think it was 6 errors. Over the last 2 seasons, I think he had 3 errors combined.
Mm-hmm.
He had like 6 or 7 in the first couple months.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. And then the bat's not there. And we know that he's not benefiting with any of his speed if he can't get on base.
Well,
and I'm not asking Colton Wong to hit 300. What he did last year for the Brewers was a really good offensive year. But 265 isn't that much to ask for. And that's right in his average range.
Well, that's what I was saying with Christian Yelich. I'm not asking for 300. I was asking for 275 and give me 20 to 25 home runs. He's not even going to get to 15. That's how bad he's been. So Colton Wong, when you look at his, and you brought up a good point, when you talk about you don't allow his speed, when guys' speed begins to diminish, even if it's a half step, suddenly it throws them off. You know what I mean? It's like suddenly something happens to where they just don't get to the ball as quick, and things that were routine are no longer routine, and they begin to have issues. I maybe that's Colton Wong's deal. Maybe that's where he's at right now. Now, Colton Wong, how old is Colton Wong? Is he over 30 yet?
He's in his early 30s.
I thought so. Usually,
like he's in the prime of his career. Between
the ages of 27 and 30 is when the apex of your hand-eye coordination and then your ability, your physical ability with your mental ability, they begin to intersect. That intersection, the height is between 27 to 30. Sometimes it gets extended out to 31, possibly 32 if you're kind of an extenuating circumstance type of ball player. Otherwise, your hand-eye coordination, your speed and such begins to diminish by just a tick, scientifically speaking, by just a tick, but your knowledge goes up. So guys that play the game smart, they work extra hard, they do extra things, they kind of hone that skill, they have longevity. Whereas guys after the age of 31, 32, 33, it begins to diminish. And I'm thinking that Colton Wong, it's that apex has gone down some in the hand-eye coordination with that glimpse of speed. And if you lose a half step, it just takes you where before it was a routine bend over ground ball. All of a sudden you're stretching a little bit more, or you're stretching a little bit higher because you can't get to a ball that you normally would have had it been a line drive over your head. It's just that little oomph that you don't have anymore that suddenly begins to affect you in the field, which can either have the vice versa effect of affecting you at the plate or the plate affecting you in the field. I think that's what's happened to Colton Wong. You're starting to see, and I'm not going to say it's the beginning of the end, but you've seen the diminishment, and he has to figure it out, and it becomes a mental game after that because everything came so naturally. And suddenly guys that have this just innate ability start to go, I don't know what went wrong. I mean, just in the years that I've covered baseball, guys will say that. They'll say, I had such a good year, and I did all the same things. I did all the same workouts. I can't figure out what went wrong. And then when you realize you have somebody come up and say, hey, you're a half step slower. You were running a 4.4. Now you're running a 4.55, and you're like, what? And then you realize that you're getting a little bit older. You need to do things differently. And I think that could be part of Christian Yelich. That could be more so part of Colton Wong and what he's got going on right now.
So Colton Wong is 31. So this was his entire 31-year-old season. He will turn 32 basically after the regular season. Now, Colton Wong, what you're relying on when you get Colton Wong is a guy that plays phenomenal second base, is a guy that's got some speed that can steal a few bases or at least be aggressive on the base paths, and a guy that, for a 260, 265 hitter is going to provide a little bit of pop. Obviously playing an American family field, left-handed hitters got a little bit more of an advantage. But if you're a guy that your big rule of thumb is that you're going to be a really good defensive stopper up the middle, you're going to be a guy that can get on base and use your speed a little bit. If you're not playing good defense and your batting average is down 20 points from just its average, what are you really worth? Like I was saying on the morning show, I'm getting Colton Wong the rest of the money he's due this year and the $2.5 million buyout for next season so that I don't have to pick up his $10 million option.
Right.
And I'm paying him right now to leave now. I'm talking, I don't want you playing in LA. I'm going to call up Bryce Terang, a 22-year-old kid that's hungry, a kid that is really lighting it up in AAA, a guy that's got some blood. He's got some history with his family in Major League Baseball. Kid's been around for a while, but it's because he was drafted at 17. It's time for people like that to get their chance instead of sitting here watching the same old BS of old players that aren't playing well.
Right. And you look at a guy like McCutchen, he's actually been somewhat of a godsend. He's come up big in clutch moments, and he's actually played pretty consistently and better than I thought he would. But obviously they got rid of Lorenzo Cain, who was another old guy. They were hoping if the hopes and prayers would have come. This reminded me a lot of the last of Ron Renicky, because his last season, it was hope that this guy would play well, hope that this guy returned to form, hope this guy came back from injury, and it all just imploded. This year was kind of the same. You hope that Christian Yelich would play better. You hope that Lorenzo Cain would come back and have a season like he started to have before he ended up opting out during COVID. You hope that Colton Wong could back up the year that he had last year. You hope that Urias and what you saw in the postseason would give you the same flash down at third base. You hope that Rowdy Tellez would be able to give you the same power numbers, and he has. He's been a pleasant surprise. But there was a lot of hopes, and then to be able to get Hunter Renfroe and dump off Jackie Bradley Jr., and I don't know what kind of pictures they had. Because remember, that was actually a good deal. It's not all been bad for what David Stearns has done.
And if you look at it, Bill, the offense is actually slightly better than what it was last year. And that was an offense that was middle of the road last year. It wasn't bad. It was a team that was very hot at times, very cold at others, but it was a slightly above average offense last year. And it's even technically been better this year, but you didn't have 4 out of your 6 starting pitchers go down with injury.
Right.
And that bullpen has been a big issue, especially as of late.
The Milwaukee Brewers and where they sit, when you talk, you're right, 100% correct. I mean, what are they, like 10th or 11th or 12th or something like that in overall OPS, if I'm not mistaken?
But that's the thing. It's huge feast or famine. They're in the top 3, actually, OPS wise against righties. They're in the bottom 5 against lefties.
And
overall, I think they sit around 12.
They're in the top 3 in home runs too. And the stat came up yesterday during the broadcast that I saw that the majority of the Brewers were there, third in the league at runs scored via the home run. So
doesn't shock me at all.
The majority of their runs, and I think they got 160 plus home runs. I can't remember, but the majority of their runs have come via the home run. And like you said, it's been feasted, which is to the eyeball. That's what we've all seen, which is why we all said we're not asking for a bat that's going to be a big power hitter. That's not the problem. The problem is the consistency of setting the table for the guys that are hitting the ball out of the ballpark.
Well, and then I think the number that you're looking for was 49% of the Milwaukee Brewers runs come via the long ball.
Yep.
49%. Now look at the Mets. I've had this conversation earlier with Ebo, early, like months ago. The Mets aren't a team that hit a ton of home runs, but they can hit home runs. Like Pete Alonso is up there in the tops for RBIs and home runs in the league at first base. But they don't have a ton of Pete Alonsos. They have a lot of piece it together guys that can hit home runs, but don't hit 40 every single year like the Brewers were trying to build. But they find ways to score runs all the time. And they had a very comparable starting 5 and bullpen at the beginning of the season. People don't talk about how the Mets missed 8 weeks of Scherzer and missed the first 3 months without DeGrom. People don't talk about how the Dodgers haven't had Walker Buehler for 2 months. Dustin May has been out almost the entire year until I think yesterday.
Those were Bellinger's been awful.
Big time guys.
And
he's
Cody
been terrible.
Bellinger's been terrible. Yeah, I mean,
Max
agree with
Muncy has been garbage.
Here's the other thing when you think about the Brewers, because what number becomes more telling because I know we want to get into the OPS. I understand that. An overall number gives you a good idea as where your team's at. But they're number 3 in power, number 13 in on-base percentage, and they're 22nd in batting average. So it goes back to when you look at the OPS, the power numbers have been good. But again, if you don't have guys that are consistently getting on base and you bring that average up, you're not setting the table. This is the reason you can't extend innings.
Bill, the number for me that's, I think, most important for this team is 56. That's the number of losses they have this year. And how many times after games like just this last series, Oh, but that's only one game. Oh, but that's only one game.
That's horse crap, and I agree with you.
That's every freaking series that
Yep.
you're saying this to me.
That I agree with.
Like, there was the series in Chicago this weekend. How many times did you take a lead on Friday? You lost. You had the lead on Saturday. You lost 3 different times. Yesterday, you were lucky to hold on. You easily, if you just held leads, would have swept the lowly Cubs. Instead, your last 3 series against the lowly Cubs, the lowly Pirates, and the lowly Reds, you are 0-3 against the Pirates, 1-2 against the Reds, 1-2 against the Cubs. Oh, yeah, and by the way, you led every single game in the series in which you got swept against the Pirates. You led in every game, I think, except for 1 against the Reds. And you led in every game against the Cubs.
Think of trailing after 7 innings. Now, it's not a huge record for a lot of teams to begin with, but when they're trailing after 7 innings, they are 6-43. So again, going back to the all or nothing team, they don't have the ability to put innings and runs and support together consistently. It's either strikeout or a home run. It's 6-43 is where they're at.
The saving grace for the Cardinals was, well, we have the easiest schedule down the stretch.
Right.
The saving grace for the Brewers, well, we have a ton of home games, and a lot of them come against the Reds, the Pirates, and the Cubs. You're 2-7 in your last 9 against those teams. And, oh, by the way, you led in 8 out of 9 of those games, and you found a way to lose them.
Yeah. This
isn't a serious franchise.
I agree that it's only a game mentality. I've said that before. If you lose your series, if you lose your division, if you lose to the wild card by a game or 2, and you look back on a season in which you pissed away basically 5, 8, 9, 10 games, you forever can't be forgiven. You just can't. I know sometimes baseball's baseball. You give up a good pitch, but for the majority of times when you can't manufacture a run, you can't move a runner over, you can't do little things, fundamental little things that allow you to win on a consistent basis. That's when it becomes shameful as a Major League Baseball player. Let's do this. We're going to step away, take a quick break. More of the Bill Michaels Show.
Bill, real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you talking about, the simple things in baseball? Like, I don't know, catching shallow pop-ups and throwing it into the infield?
Correct. Here's the other thing that really drives me nuts. Here's the other thing. How many times have you seen, and I was charting this for a while, and at one point I got to like 12 or 13, and then I just ended up, it kind of went by the wayside. But how many times have you seen a runner advance on a poorly thrown ball from the outfield? And I'm not talking about a guy that scores because your throw didn't get to him.
Bill, you don't have to be kind. You don't have to be cute. You don't have to be kind here.
How many
You're
times?
talking about how many times have guys advanced on the base pass, not on a throw from the outfield, on a Christian Yelich throw to an outfield.
So
you don't have to throw everyone else in there. It's him.
So many times a ball fly in, lollipopped, that doesn't hit a cutoff man anywhere near second. To watch a guy advance, say you've got the initial runner goes from first to third, you throw to third when really it should have been cut off at second. That way you would have had first and third rather than second and third. Then they've got to walk a guy to load the bases to create the extra out, only to see a base hit drive in 2 runs. When that guy comes from second, never should have been on second to begin with. That's what
Bill,
I call
there's been times this year.
Run.
There's been times this year where Christian Yelich gets a ball hit to, middle deep left field. And I know specifically against the Reds and Cubs, they have tagged up from a middle deep ball hit the left field from second to third. And it's not even a close play as in, hey, we might want to take a look at this. They're clearly in there. Sometimes not even where it's not even close to where the third baseman's even tagging them. Mm-hmm. That's embarrassing. That's a tag that in home talent Wisconsin baseball, you don't normally do, but they're doing it to Christian Yelich at the major league level.
There's a lot of holes. And this is one of the things that we were talking about going into the postseason. Yeah, they're only 1.5 games back, and that's by the grace of God that the Padres, ever since they found out Fernando Tatis Jr. was suspended for a large portion of the remainder of this season, the beginning of next season, that he's not coming back. And it kind of took the wind out of their sails for what their plans were as well. But let's be honest, they're staying a game and a half back. because San Diego stinks as well, not because all of a sudden they're turning it on and they've got a 10-game win streak or they've won 8 of their last 10. It's because the other team that's alongside them is stinking it up as well. Stay tuned. Yeah, go ahead. Real quick.
I was going to say, there's a get rich quick scheme. They're always schemes.
Yeah.
They're always kind of like just a scam.
Right.
Well, I actually have a legit get rich fast. DraftKings offers a Brewers not to make the playoffs plus 150. Put everything you got on it, folks.
On that note, more of the Bill Michaels Show coming to you next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
If you're in or near Humbird, Wisconsin, check out a family success story with a good old-fashioned farm store. Go to ScholzieFamilyBeef.com. That's ScholzieFamilyBeef.com. One of the worst things that you can hear, you have cancer. The worst is when you hear your child has cancer. When a child is diagnosed with cancer, it changes their world. Sometimes they can't even do things that they really love, like playing soccer, riding a bike, going to prom, attending school. Children with cancer spend a lot of time away from others, time in the hospital, treatments, tired, nauseous, and they feel isolated. That's where Special Spaces Wisconsin steps in. They provide these children with a special space where they can not only sleep, but they can play, they can heal, they can spend time away from the challenges of their illness. It's a customized bedroom designed just for them. How about a princess castle or a pirate ship or a sports-themed bedroom? They transform that child's existing bedroom into a place that only he or she can imagine, a place for them just to be a kid. This effort is done with teams of dedicated volunteers and sponsors, just like our friends from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and all the community partners. If you'd like to find out more or to donate, go to specialspaces.org. That is specialspaces.org.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
You got to hit it back.
I'm glad you're on board today. A few segments to go before we get out of here. As ran a little bit late in that one, but that's okay. Whenever you get spirited conversation, it's fantastic. And that's what it was. Thanks to Rowdy for hanging out with us for a little extra time. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at the Four Seasons Island Resort up in Pembine, Wisconsin. And to get a hold of our girl Barb up there at the4seasonswisconsin.com. That's Barb, B-A-R-B, at the4seasonswisconsin.com. And whether you go to the website or you email Barb or you call directly, make sure you put in the promo code Bill Michaels 15, automatic 15% off. They have a lot going on, including, they're not far from our friends at Forgotten Fire Winery. They got some wineries up there. You can do a little tour. They still have the UTV. The ATV trails are open. Plenty of time still to golf all the way through the end of October into November, depending on the weather, obviously. And they have the big indoor pool, the Boundary Waters Bar and Grill, where they have karaoke and music and bands and all kinds of good stuff. The Diamond Room, you can do like I said, the UTV, the ATVs, pontoon rentals up there, kayak around the island. There's so much to do. Stop up to see our friends in Pembine, Wisconsin at the4seasonswisconsin.com. That's the4seasonswisconsin.com. First of all, like I said, thanks to Rowdy for hanging out with us and talking some Brewers baseball. There's a lot of people that are chiming in, both on the Bud Light live stream and over on Twitter as well. Ebo, you back now?
Oh, I'm back, Billy.
That was quite. Did he like leave the studio red and sweating?
Well, Bill, this has been building for many years with our guy Rowdy. so what you got was, Rowdy and I are in the studio together every day. And once the mic goes off, Rowdy does not turn off. He just keeps spewing and spewing and spewing. So I've been hearing something like this for many years. This one is it's kind of like a volcano that keeps bubbling up, and eventually it explodes.
Right.
It hasn't fully exploded yet, but it's close. So I'm used to this.
Right.
He'll never stop. In fact, he was just in here trying. I'm like, Rowdy, get out of here. Me and Bill Bill's got to do his thing.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. Rowdy kept going about the Brewers and Christian Yelich. And I'm sure he's doing it in the office right now and then.
He's down the hall just yelling like Tourette's. He's just yelling stuff out. Christian Yelich's name just
it's very
flies
passionate.
out of his
Very
mouth.
passionate.
Let's go to Daniel listening to us in Toma. Daniel, welcome to the program, man. What's going on, buddy?
That Rowdy is different, I tell you right now.
But he's right on almost. I mean, whether you agree or disagree for the most. What do you disagree with?
I disagree. This spring training, you never bring that up, and it seemed like the team was different this year with no spring training. They just basically started baseball. You know that. I know that.
Right, but every team did.
Is everything. I'm not saying it's not, but he knows a lot of teams started slow. Brewers didn't. Then I'll say they caught up because then maybe they got more together or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
You guys say go spend money. I remember when the Brewers lost to St. Louis in 1982. I was in boot camp in 1982. I come back. We're in the playoffs. We're at County Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't understand what County Stadium was. He want to see baseball. Won't he come back in history and go to County Stadium? That place sucked. I'm sorry to tell you this. That was not a good stadium. Wasn't good for reporters. It wasn't good for the fans.
No, but stadium has nothing to do with it.
It's 40 years ago.
What I'm trying to say is they have tried to improve baseball in Wisconsin. No,
I agree with that.
The World Series. We should have beat St. Louis at the World Series. We got screwed on a bad call. I'm sorry. We were better than St. Louis, and they should have won the World Series. But, and he wants to get rid of everybody. Well, just get rid of the team. Just move them. Because you can't do that. I mean, you admit that Counselor is a good general manager. I'm not saying he's the best, but you only can play with the players they give you. The owner comes in here. I don't know what kind of owner he is, but 1 minute it seems like he says I'm part of it. Next minute he says, "Oh, it's the other people's fault." I agree. It's a blame game.
Yep.
And I agree with what they got this year. I've listened to the games. Sometimes it seems like, wow, they're good. Next game, you suck, but I don't know what to tell you, but the way he's falling, oh my Lord.
Look at it this way, Daniel. look at it this way. I appreciate the phone call. They're 8 games over 500. They won yesterday, but the teams they should be beating, they don't consistently beat. There's a lot of excuse making for the way this team has faltered. The legitimate argument to be made is they got rid of Josh Hader because of money. They tried to sell it as a different bill of goods. And the signal they sent to the clubhouse was, and the guys in that clubhouse was, we think you're good, but we don't think you can win it all. So we're going to go ahead and start making moves now to save money. And that's what it was. And this team since then has kind of played like it. They really believed that they had a legitimate shot, and everybody expected them to go out and get another bat or two. And because the pitching wasn't the issue, it was the bats. It was the inconsistency, the all or nothing, the grip it and rip it mentality. And for a while, we've seen it when they have done certain things to play a little bit small ball. They've won some games. It's been exciting. They've rejuvenated the fans. You can't do that every day. I get that, but they've had some good outings. When they have had issues in regards to the grip it and rip it mentality, what they needed was guys to get on, guys to set the table, guys to extend an inning, guys to do little things, guys fundamentally to play better and defensively play better. And at times they just don't. And the argument to be made is we all see it. It's the giant pink elephant in the room. It's an all or nothing team. And the problem is down the stretch when some other teams like the Cardinals, who are so steadfast in playing decent fundamental baseball, and they've just stuck with it, and the cruise ship is just heading in the right direction, you're trying to catch that team and you can't. So therefore you put yourself in a position to be behind a team like San Diego and like some of the other wild card teams that all they got to do is play a little bit better baseball than you, and they're going to find themselves in the postseason because you didn't win the division because you thought the grip it and rip it mentality was going to be better. And, oh, by the way, you told the rest of your team, while you may be able to win the division, we don't think you can win a World Series. They took the wind out of their sails. That means they're not going to win the division either. If you don't win the division, chances are you're not going to make it in the postseason. And this whole thing about the streak and all that kind of stuff, fans wanted them to take the next step, and instead they took the step back, and they did it for money. And that's where people get so pissed off and so frustrated. It's not because you needed to move guys because you were going to lose them. You still had another year with Hader. You still had another opportunity in the offseason to work things out. You moved him because you didn't want to pay an arbitration settlement that was probably going to take place this year because he was one of the best relievers in baseball almost up until the point that you let him go. That's what makes people mad. 877-867-1670. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Catch all the racing action at Road America. Camping and corporate events available as well. Go to roadamerica.com for all the information. Road America, America's national park of speed.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. Again, I want to remind you that we've got our motorcycle poker run coming up on Sunday, September 4th, less than 2 weeks away now. Now, the weather, from what I've been told via our guy Drew Burgoyne, the meteorologist from CBS 58, and also our guys from Fox 6, they said that right now it's low 80s. The sun should be out, and it looks like, at least for right now, although the weekend looks to be a little bit wet, that we're going to get a great opportunity to ride rain-free. So hopefully you can join us, and if you have a motorcycle or know somebody who does, what I encourage you to do is go to fisherhousewi.org. That is fisherhousewi.org. And get registered. And we can't do it without you. And we need volunteers, too, for staging. Doesn't mean you can't ride with us if you ride a motorcycle. We can certainly use some people to get there a little bit earlier and help us stage some of these bikes as well. If you want to do that, get a hold of me. You can email me at thebillmichaels@gmail.com, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. You can find me there, and we'll get you all set up. But it's going to be a great day. We've got a lot of really wonderful stops. And in addition to that, just a lot of fun things planned. But it's all for the ride. It's all for Fisher House, Wisconsin, for military members, veterans, and their family. And we can't do it without our friends at Wisconsin Harley-Davidson. They're putting on the after party, and it's going to be a great time with Rebel Grace on the south stage and Hairball at 8 o'clock on the north stage. We get back there about 5 o'clock. We start announcing winners. We got a flyover scheduled. I mean, so many good things happening, and we can't do it without the police department shutting down the highways and getting us from point A to point B. So it's going to be awesome. So if you can get signed up for it, go to fisherhousewi.org in the events page, or if you're following on the Bud Light live stream, you can scan the QR code right now and get registered. All the information as it persists will be at facebook.com/Big Unit Poker Run. Facebook.com/Big Unit Poker Run. And also thanks to our friends at Bud Light who have been with us all 15 years. Potawatomi Hotel Casino as well. And they do some wonderful, wonderful stuff, but they wanted to be a part of it and bring their dealers out to help us out. MKE Brewing, our friends at Growth Law, GROTH, Growth Law, one of the top 20 biker firms in the country, and it's right here in our own backyard. Also, our friends over at Buzzard Billy's, kind of a stone's throw away from Eau Claire here, downtown La Crosse, with some really, really good food. And our friends Andy Kane and the whole staff at Kane & Kane Jewelers in West Bend. Kane & Kane Jewelers in West Bend. And you can check it there as well. But so many good things right there in the West Bend area, and so many good sponsors that are a part of this. But we can't do it without you. We're getting down to the stretch run now. We want to make sure that we get as many people pre-registered for some of the great prizes that are only available for pre-registration. You can still win some of the other prizes as well within the poker hand. But only for those who pre-register. There's one of 4 prize packages. There's a Buck Suite tickets, and some Admirals tickets. There's also a Brewers tickets that go along with some dinner in downtown Milwaukee. Also, there is a Badgers tailgate and Badgers tickets, and 3 different races at Road America as well. So all of those prize packages available, but only for those who actually pre-register. So get pre-registered. Simply go, again, to fisherhousewi.org and the events page and get registered, or just scan the QR code right now over on the Bud Light live stream. It'll take you to registration. You can follow that Facebook page. You can follow us on Facebook at The Bill Michaels, facebook.com/The Bill Michaels Show, and Instagram, The Real Bill Michaels, or The Bill Michaels, I should say The Bill Michaels, and you can find us there as well. So plenty of ways to track it down. Couple of things. I got an email here. This is our buddy Steve, who chimes in quite often. And Steve hits us up and says, hey, first of all, happy Monday. I think that Jordan Love is definitely trending in the right direction, but still has a way to go. I thought his pocket presence was better, and I think his decision-making was better as well. The one rookie I am almost impressed with is Zach Tom. I watched him on several plays, and his blocking was outstanding. He squares up nicely, keeps a good pad level. Also, as good as Romeo Dobbs has played, he also has a couple of drops, which I agree with. I don't think that the Brewers are dead yet, but they are nearing the critical condition. As hot as the Cardinals have been, I think they're going to have a cold streak coming up as up and down as the Brewers have been. When they get back from LA, they have some payback time with the Cubs and the Pirates. Maybe, just maybe, they are getting the slump out of the way before the playoffs this year. That's our buddy Steven Richfield. That is a way of looking at things through completely blue and gold colored glasses. And Steve, I'll say this. I hope you're right. I hope you're right. This one is from Rick, who says, I wanted to chime in on the Jordan Love topic. I see an improved player, but what I want to see is what he looks like with Lazard, Watkins, and Cobb. Everybody makes excuses for his 50% completion stat. Well, if he throws for 50% with those guys, he still isn't there, in my opinion. I completely agree. Here's the one thing that everybody forgets, and what drives me crazy is they say, well, all he ever does is work with the 2s and the 3s. And no, from week 9 of last year, he worked with the 1s. Remember, Aaron Rodgers didn't take a snap in practice. Not a snap. He did walkthroughs. Remember, he had the bad toe. So not only did he play in the game against Kansas City, but he then took the number 1 snaps with that team all the way through the end of the season until Rodgers finally healed up come postseason. And he even got and knew he was going to play with many of the 1s in the game in Detroit, and still didn't look great. Now, does he look better this year? Absolutely. I agree with that. I'm not saying that he's not serviceable, but this whole thing of, oh my God, look how great he looked. It's one preseason game, people. And all of a sudden be pointing your finger in the air going, I told you so. You told me what? That he'd have one good game? If that's what you said, then yeah, you're right. Otherwise, one game in a preseason with the 2s and the 3s does not a career make. That's all I'm saying. So pump the brakes. Not saying it's good or bad. I'm just simply saying he looked better. Oh, so you're now admitting he's a really good pick? No, I'm saying he looked better in one preseason game. That's where I go to. And when I get asked about draft day, going back some years, who I would have taken, there was quite a few guys at the time that I would have taken over Jordan Love. We've all been there. We've all talked about this time and again. Before Jordan Love, I was thinking if they would have traded, they could have gotten Brandon Ayuk. At the time, I was talking about Patrick Queen, and Patrick Queen's still a starter. He's not good. He's not good in coverage. He's better coming off the edge or better on stunts, and he's better shooting up the gut on blitzes, going in pass rush after a quarterback than he is at stuff in the run or in coverage. So that I'll give you. And part of it's been because he feels like he hasn't been utilized properly. They brought in a new linebackers coach this year. We'll see what he actually does with Baltimore. But he's not been great. But at the time, I thought Patrick Queen. I thought about T. Higgins, the wide receiver coming out of Clemson. I was thinking DeAndre Swift, the running back out of Georgia, just to add depth. I mean, there were so many different things that you could have thought of. Jonathan Taylor at the time coming out of Wisconsin. So, that's just a handful of guys. There's even, if you wanted to go with quarterback, Jalen Hurts has looked better, than Jordan Love had. So I'm not sitting here saying that hindsight being what it is, I was right. What I'm saying is there was other guys that were on my draft board that I would have gone with that would have been more impactful. And to jump up to a first round pick, I don't care if he wasn't projected there. That's where you got him. And that's what the expectation's supposed to be, is first round pick capability. Because that's what, in essence, you said. His value is a first rounder. We're going to trade up to get him and then trade back and move all over. And that's exactly what they did. So, but again, one game does not a career make. So we'll see. Complicated Fella says, what's changed since last season for Love? Any new position coach maybe helping him with to reach his potential? Well, Tom Clements, the new quarterbacks coach. Tom Clements. Remember, Nathaniel Hackett was a really good quarterbacks coach and offensive coordinator and such as well. And Luke Getsy, those guys are gone. But Tom Clements, the wily veteran, if you will, is also working with him. Rodgers is in camp working with him more this year. But have you seen, let me ask you this, have you seen a dramatic improvement or just an improvement? You know what I mean? And I get asked all the time, well, Rodgers wasn't Rodgers in year 3. Yeah, but we saw it consistently behind closed doors. Now, we're not consistently behind closed doors, but from what I've understood, and when I talk to guys like Mike Clemens, and we talk to Pete Doherty, and we've talked to others that cover the team, it's average. There's not much to write home about there. So, I get it if you love the pick. That's my question, is all of a sudden are you loving the pick? Or are you telling yourself you have to love the pick because eventually the end is coming and you've got to believe in this guy? And I think that's where a lot of this is coming from. Just my opinion. Final segment of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
I give that a 2.99. Okay. Hey, Dad.
What's wrong?
That woman over there. Don't look.
What did she do?
She judged my dive. Gave it a 2.99. Isn't that weird?
Hey, that's Gina Della from Pella. I'm going to find out what this is all about. Excuse me. Why are you judging my daughter's diving? I know who you are.
I'm sorry? Judging?
Yeah, she said you yelled out.
Oh, no, I wasn't talking about her. I was finalizing this month's special at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. That's funny.
What's special?
Pay only 2.99% interest for 10 years.
On new Pella windows. Really? 10 years?
Yep.
But it's the middle of summer. You can't get a deal on installing new windows during the warmest season.
You can at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
Oh, 2.99.
Dad?
Oh, not you, sweetheart. The deal at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. 2.99% for 10 years.
Visit PellaWI.com.
Proof credit.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, a training camp update. In Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers reviewed the tape of their 20-10 preseason win over the Saints. How did quarterback Jordan Love look? Matt LaFleur.
I don't know how you guys see it, but the way I see it and seeing it on a daily basis, I think he's light years ahead of where he was a year ago.
Early in the second quarter, Love led the team on an 11-play, 80-yard drive that took nearly 7 minutes off the clock and delivered a laser in the corner to rookie receiver Romeo Doubs. I spoke to Love after the game.
You know, you get a one-on-one matchup with Romeo out there. We had the fade called. I know he's going to go up and get it. It's just, you know, got to put the ball in the right spot.
Jordan, on that ball, when you flash and see it open, you say fastball.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like it's a quicker play. You know, you got to react quick and see how the DB's playing it, see how his release is. You know, he kind of beat off the line. There was a little bit of room right there, kind of a jump ball all the way.
Doubs jumped into the end zone for a Lambeau leap in the same spot Leroy Butler did it back in 1993.
You know, I and Jordan, we pretty much just repped it tons of times. So it comes from practice. You know, the philosophy here is practice equals game-like play.
David Bakhtiari has been taken off the PUP, and after a year and a half and 3 surgeries on his left knee, will try to regain his spot at left tackle. Rookie receiver Christian Watson, who had minor knee surgery after minicamp in June, was back on the field taking some reps in practice.
Feels like it's been a long time coming for me. You know, it's only been a few weeks. It's definitely been a long time coming. And, you know, I've been itching to get back out there, so it feels great.
That's Packers receiver Christian Watson in Green Bay. I'm Mike Clemens on The Bill Michaels Show.
Welcome back to the program. This just in. Our first huddle of the year is Wednesday night. This Wednesday. We've moved the huddles from Thursday to Wednesday. The first huddle of the year, Wednesday night. And we are going to be at the Mecca in the Deer District. The Mecca in the Deer District, Wednesday night, 6 to 8. It is our first huddle of the season. I don't know guests or anything like that just yet. We're just kind of getting all the information in, but just a little behind the 8 ball this year, we'll say scheduling-wise. But and then We Dance were kind of our sponsor, which has been with me for 22 years, and that has been Bud Light. They've been bringing to the huddles with myself for 22 years. We've been doing this. I don't even know what that equates to. 23 weeks for 22 years. That's how many huddles we've done. How about that? It's quite a bit. Anyway, that's where we're going to be. Coming up on Wednesday night, we're going to be at the Mecca Sports Bar, which is right there in the Deer District, across from the Fiserv Forum. That is, by the way, Mark says 506 huddles. That's a lot of huddles. 506 huddles. Previewing, going over, reflecting upon games of the Green Bay Packers and the rest of the NFL. We are more than a half a century into the huddles when it comes to the number. There you go. So we're going to be there at the Mecca Sports Bar coming up on Wednesday night, 6 to 8, and hope to see you there as a face in the crowd. Really looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. A couple things to go before we get out of here. Our buddy Brian says, hey, Unit, how you hitting them? What is your go-to cigar? Asking for a friend coming up tonight out there. Well, we're at Wild Ridge Golf Course if you're watching on the Bud Light live stream here in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. I am not hitting them great. I'm not hitting them poorly either. Last week, I played rather well. I got a couple of drives in that made me believe that I could really hit a ball. And then a few more after that curved into the woods, although I only lost one. But had a few long putts, had a couple of good, second shots, and I was happy with my game. Go-to cigar? Oh, there's a bunch. There's a new anniversary Cohiba that's out that I just saw. And I haven't had that one yet, but I had the one that was a step below it. I also like the Monte Cristo M, or the Macanudo M, I should say. Love Deadwood Estates and Sweet Baby Jane's, Fat Bottom Betty's, the Leather Rose and such. Really good cigars based off of the same concept. Obviously, the Perdomo 10th anniversary champagne cigar is fine. And these are all sticks that are probably between $8 and $12, $13. Excuse me, God, I get the hiccups now. Except for the new Cohiba, it's about $25 a stick. But beyond that, man, those are kind of what I go to on a night in and night out basis. So there you go. Ebo, are you a cigar guy?
I dabble from time to time.
Okay. We got to get you to one of these things, man. There's only a few left this year. Maybe you can come up in September to like Wissota High Shores, or we're going to be in La Crosse for celebrations for the last year. You got to come to that. Be our
La Crosse, my area. Let's go. Hell yeah.
La Crosse, yeah. Bring you into that one. That's not a bad way. And you'd be back home in time. Plenty of time to do the morning show the next day. That's not a bad thing. Bad way to go. Unless, of course, you got to get, tore up. Then all you do is the morning show live from La Crosse.
Hey, nothing that a Bloody Mary can't cure.
That's exactly right. There you go. So that'll do it. Anything else you want to add to today's fun and frivolity before we get out of here?
Let's just pray for Rowdy as he's on vacation tomorrow and Wednesday, and he scribbles in that manifesto about the Brewers a little more. Just pray for him.
He's got to be in a shack somewhere in the middle of the woods with really no plumbing, nothing but a radar and a little bit of an AM/FM signal. That's it. And he's just out scribbling down his notes to what's going to happen next in the world as it implodes around Rowdy. So looking forward to it. That's it. Time for us to get out. Thanks to the staff and management here at Wild Ridge Golf Course. Fantastic place. I love it. Every time I come back. Yes, this is where I got hit by the lightning, but that's one bad memory. I've had a lot of good memories here. It's a great place. I'm sitting in the exact same spot too. So no fear, baby. No fear. Time for us to go. Have a good one. Soup.